Hey, everybody, and Merry Christmas. This is Gary Horde.
Hey, I'm Justin Bishop.
He wasn't ready for that.
Oh, was it?
We didn't really plan how we're going to intro this, but I think we're here right now because we want to introduce this episode of Black Christmas and let you know this is a special episode of Cinema Shock. Not about like
this is not like an after-school special where we're
Right.
going to tell you the horrors of doing drugs. We're not doing that to you. This is
No.
it's a special episode because it's our Christmas special, the Cinema Shock Christmas Spectacular, where we're going to be talking about Bob Clark's Black Christmas. I'm sure you know that because you probably clicked on the episode thing that says Black Christmas. But we're also doing it a little bit differently than we have been doing recent episodes in a couple different ways. One, we are releasing it as one big long episode because it's a Christmas spectacular. We didn't want to chop it up. We wanted you to get the whole thing all at once, one big long extended episode. But that also means, Gary, that we are releasing it as a full extended episode, a full experience, just like our subscribers to Cinema Shock Plus get. What does that mean, Gary? What is it? What are we giving them?
Yeah, so if you're a subscriber to Cinema Shock Plus, you get all of the bells and whistles that we provide when we record one of these episodes, which, you know, depending on how big of a nerd you are, you'll appreciate more or less of. The thing is like when we record these episodes, as we record it in one big long session, and we give you extra features or special features, I think we call them. There's little bonus details we provide that we cut out of the main episodes and only give to subscribers of Cinema Shock Plus.
Yeah, so with this Black Christmas episode, we wanted to include all of that so that those of you who aren't members of Cinema Shock Plus can kind of see what you get with your membership. Just nerdy special features, like Gary said. These things are normally only available to people who subscribe to Cinema Shock Plus, but our Christmas gift to you is that you get to hear them for free here on the main feed. And maybe you'll love them and want to hear them on other episodes, and you'll join us over at Cinema Shock Plus.
For Black Christmas, since it's a Christmas spectacular, we're going to show you a little bit of what that's like. So if you're a huge Black Christmas fan, this is the kind of value you get with other stuff besides just Black Christmas on the other side of Cinema Shock Plus.
Join us at Cinema Shock Plus if you want, but if you don't, this is our Christmas gift to you. Enjoy this extended episode on Black Christmas.
Please have a Merry, Merry Christmas.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
I'll be back.
Just a flesh wound. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
Take your sticking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
I'm sorry, Ben. I'm afraid I can't do that.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Happy holidays. Hey, it's me, Gary.
It's less scary when the name's Gary. There's something far less threatening about a psychotic killer named Gary.
It's my cross to bear. I can't be a serial killer.
No, I mean, there have been serial killers named Gary. It's just when you say, hey, it's me, Gary. There's like Gary, the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
So he's pretty famous.
Pulling that shit out of your butt.
Man, I watch a lot of true crime stuff.
There's got to be a few Justins, right?
I don't know a Justin. I'm sure there are, but I can't think of a famous serial killer named Justin.
If there should be any serial killers out there, odds are they're named Todd, but I can't think of any.
Yeah.
Are we just really good at serial killing?
They just
Odds are all the best ones.
even if they're not named Todd, they're just giving big Todd energy.
I've just got the name that has like that tweet the other, maybe you sent it to me, Justin, but it was just like, how does somebody look at a baby and just say, that's Gary?
Yeah. Hey, meet my baby, Gary. To be fair, your parents said, look at my baby, Melton.
Oh, well, we got to just break that out.
You know what? I'm telling your Christian name here on the podcast.
It's the worst. I mean, now I kind of wish I had gone by that. Like I was embarrassed of it before.
Well, you could go by Mel.
Yeah.
You could go by Melt.
I used to always say, too, that it would make a great indie film. Melting Gary Horn.
Like kissing Jessica Stein.
It's just Gary sitting on his back porch, just going like,
God, it's hot.
"Woo, jeez, hot out here."
Surely I've told you the story about when I was in Illinois at college and I took a job at like a telemarketing kind of deal. It was like a sales thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you got a sale, you had to walk up to the board and like mark an X like next to your name or whatever. So my name was up there as Melton. And I went to my boss and I was like, "Hey, I don't go by Melton, I go by Gary." And he's like, "Oh, cool. Well, get 3 sales today and we'll change it to Gary." I was like, "Great." So that was like my first day there. And I ended up getting like 4 sales. Like I was like working my ass off to do it. But every time you would walk up to the board to like mark an X, everybody would celebrate you. So everybody's like, "Yeah, go Melton. Yeah, all right,
all of a
Melton."
sudden you're Melton.
So at the end of the day, I was like, "Can we change it?" He's like, everybody's like walking by going like, "Good job, Melton. Good work today, Melton." And like, so my boss is like, I think we gotta have to leave it now. So then I would be walking around campus with like my girlfriend or some other friends, and people that worked at that same place would like walk by and be like, "What's up, Melton?" And my friends would be like, "Who the fuck is Melton?"
My favorite part about the fact that that is what your parents named you is that you're a junior. Your dad also disliked the name Melton enough to go by the name Gary and yet still bestowed that name upon his son.
he had like a reunion I was at. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm Gary." And then somehow it came up that the first name was Melton. And they all looked at him and they were like, "You used to hate that.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?"
Why would you do that to your son? That's a real asshole move.
Gary's life goes off the rails. He's got a decent porn name, too.
Melton, honestly, Gelton.
Melton my hand, Melton my mouth. Yeah.
Oh God! But Melton Horn does sound like the name of a serial killer.
Yeah, that I could see.
The MGH killer.
Yeah.
I think. Wow. So, well, I guess you've got a career path ahead of you if things don't work out at your current job.
Well, that's good.
And some options. There's always porn.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Listen,
I think you'd really become legendary if you combine the two.
Yeah.
like in a way that you are a porn star who's a serial killer. I don't like the idea of me having to make pornos with my victims or something. That feels
not
like
snuff films.
that's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they'd never suspect you. It's not that guy. He's the porn guy.
Yeah. This conversation is really getting me in the holiday spirit.
That's what you mean by horny.
Since we're just throwing all our laundry out there today, my name is not the only thing preventing me from being a porn star. I'll just say that. That's enough of that. Well, hello, and welcome to Cinema Shock, the show that digs deep into stories behind your favorite cult and genre movies. I'm one of your hosts, Gary Horn. You know that.
Yep. Yeah. We've been discussing it. I am your other one, Justin Bishop.
And I'm Mr. Todd A. Davis. Before we get started recording, I did check the attic. I'm not saying I found anything, but I'm not saying I didn't find anything either. And welcome to the Cinema Shock Christmas Spectacular.
Welcome. This is it, guys. The holiday season's the last episode of the year. Are you guys feeling holly and jolly?
Very jolly.
What does feeling holly mean?
I don't know. You said it.
Feeling holly with consent.
But every year of the holiday season, you get bombarded with the same bullshit, the same rotation of holiday movies. It's your wholesome classics, your Home Alones, your warm and fuzzy nostalgia bombs. And there's nothing wrong with those. Your endless stream of Hallmark movies where someone learns the true meaning of Christmas by quitting their job and moving to a small town where everyone is like a baker.
I love that one.
That's a good one. That's like 7 different ones, I think. But hey, this is Cinema Shock, right? And around here, we do things differently. We like our holiday movies a little bit darker,
Die Hard,
a little bit more deranged,
Batman Returns,
and a little bit more murdery.
The Land Before Time, The Big Freeze.
Oh, no.
That just tells me you guys haven't seen it. So
I haven't seen that. I didn't get that far into the Land Before Time trilogy or series. I think there's like 8 of them. I don't think it's a trilogy.
There's a ton of them.
The last time I saw Land Before Time, they were still giving out puppets of the characters at Pizza Hut.
Right.
Oh, I loved those little guys. Yeah.
This all brings me to the movie that we're talking about today. So on the Cinema Shock Christmas Spectacular, we're going to be digging into a film that kind of slipped under the radar when it was originally released in 1974, at least here in the US, but has since become one of the most influential horror films ever made. A proto-slasher that walked so that Halloween, Friday the 13th, and every masked psycho who came after could run. Today, we are talking about one of the nastiest movies to ever slip under the Christmas tree, Bob Clark's 1974 Canadian horror classic, Black Christmas.
Hello? Hello?
A high school girl's been murdered. Mr. Harrison's daughter is missing. And now at the house where she lives, the other girls are getting obscene phone calls.
Let me lick it. Lick it. Lick it. Let me lick your pretty.
Don't you think we ought to look into it?
What do you want? Why are you doing this?
Stop.
It's me, Billy.
'Twas the night of the podcast, and all through the show, your hosts were assembled, their voices aglow, with Justin and Gary there snug in their chairs, preparing to lead you through holiday scares. The listeners were nestled with earbuds in tight, unaware of the darkness that stalks through the night. So before we proceed, we must offer this plea. If you've not watched Black Christmas, turn back, quickly flee. For soon we'll speak freely of twists grim and bold, of phone calls and shadows and secrets grown cold. So pause, go watch it, then hurry on back. Justin will have notes and Gary a fun fact. But if you've prepared and you're brave of heart, then join us, dear listeners. It's time that we start. The mic comes to life, the room fades to black, and now we've begun. There's no turning back.
Wow. Bravo, Todd.
Thank you. Available
They
for
don't-
parties, bar mitzvahs.
He doesn't have
corporate-
writer on his business cards for nothing. Do you have business cards? Good.
Somewhere.
Okay. It actually worked as a spoiler warning, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's the best one, I think. The
Ever.
best
Oh,
one we've done.
thanks.
Yeah.
150 something episodes. That's the best one.
I really dialed it in.
Yep. Before we get rolling, we do, as we always do, want to take a second to thank everyone who has already joined Cinema Shock Plus. You all help make the show possible, and we very, very much appreciate it. So whether you're catching the early extended cuts or hanging out with us on Discord or just supporting the show because you like what we do, thank you very much. It really, really means a lot. And a big thanks to our newest member, mcdudely. That's our buddy Rudy. He's been a longtime presence in. We love Rudy. Yeah, Rudy's been a longtime presence in the Cinema Shock Discord, and now as a Cinema Shock Plus member, he not only gets early access to those extended episodes and merch discounts and all that stuff, but he also gets access to the Cinema Shock Backstage Lounge, which is sort of this little VIP area within our Discord server that is members only, exclusive to members of Cinema Shock Plus. So you don't have to talk to all of those other nerds. You can just talk to the nerds who give us money. So if you want to join mcdudely in the lounge, head to cinemashock.net/plus.
And thank you and Merry Christmas, McDudely.
We love you all.
Yeah, mcdudely joined. He did an annual subscription, which means he paid for a full year. And if you do that, I don't think we've ever mentioned this on the show, but you get like 10% off. So you get it for cheaper if you buy a whole year at once. So
Nice.
kind of the way
We'll
to
be
go.
good for a year.
We'll do our best.
we will try.
I can guarantee you that I will do my best. All right, so our story today begins in the early 1970s at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, where two longtime friends and co-workers named Roy Moore and Timothy Bond began working on a spec script called The Babysitter. So they drew from a couple of different inspirations when they were working on this. The primary one being the urban legend known as the babysitter and the man upstairs. You guys have all heard this one. It's that classic urban legend where a teenage babysitter starts receiving unsettling phone calls telling her to check the children. She's freaked out, terrified. She calls the police. They trace the call and they trace the caller and then call her back with this iconic warning. The call is coming from inside the house. We've all heard this one, right?
Oh, yeah.
If it sounds familiar and you're like, I've seen that movie before, that's because it's the same urban legend that later inspired the 1979 horror film When a Stranger Calls, starring Carol Kane.
Starring Star Trek alum Carol Kane.
Oh, wow. What is she? Oh, she's on the new one, right?
Yeah. She's in Strange New World.
I love that for her. Good for her.
And she's perfect in it.
She's perfect in everything. I love Carol Kane. My favorite role of hers is another Christmas movie, actually. It's Scrooged.
Oh, yes.
I love her in Scrooged.
I always had it in my head that When a Stranger Calls was the first movie to do that, but look at that. Black Christmas.
Yeah, 5 years
history
earlier.
right from the jump. Yeah. It's amazing that the scariest plot device in the 1970s, besides demons, could be resolved now with ignore a number that you don't recognize.
Yeah, I still, I mean, the idea of getting a call from an unknown number is still scary, but at least now I have the option to ignore it.
If Billy called today, he'd just go straight to voicemail and he'd have to leave a little spooky message and nobody would ever listen to it.
Well, they play around with that a little bit in the remake, which we're not going to talk about right now, but they do play around with caller ID a little bit in the remake.
So I don't know how many younger people we have, but you got to put yourself in those 70s platform shoes, kids. You got to imagine. You're in there with your polyester pants, smoking your 900th cigarette inside a house made of wood, and a plastic brick on the wall starts screaming at you, and you have to answer it. It could be anybody. You got to check and
That's
see.
the mystery.
And that's the scariest part. It's not the killer. It's that you had to just answer the phone without knowing who it is.
Terrifying.
Now that is psychotic behavior. So you're just begging for a stranger to sexually harass your ear hole. I think that gave me the most anxiety about the movie this time. And for what it's worth, too, the urban legend is the primary hook. But William Moore, he was specifically obsessed with the psychology of the obscene phone call, is how he put it, which was, I guess, a big thing in the 70s for real. Before caller ID, and it was just like a direct line into a woman's safe space, I guess. So like ladies would just get like sexy calls or something, like people just trying to basically sexually harass you. It's still like violating you.
Now they just do it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Behind like they're those guys with the profile that's just like still the egg that
Right.
It's just those fucking guys. But yeah, I mean,
the Billies of today.
the Billies of today, they're all on Twitter. You know, that urban legend had been around for a while by this point, since like the 60s, I think. So so Moore and Bond, when they were using this as their inspiration, they were kind of tapping into this story that teenagers had been using to freak each other out for years, but bringing it to life. They also pulled from a real-life murder that had rocked Montreal in 1943 when a 14-year-old boy killed his mother and then tried to murder the rest of his family.
And his name is Michael Myers.
And Michael Myers didn't kill his mother. He killed his sister.
Yeah. And
He didn't kill his mom?
No. The mom comes home at the beginning of the movie going, Michael.
That's right.
And he's standing there with a knife and,
Even in the Rob Zombie remake, she takes herself out.
Yeah, he loves his mom.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'm remembering. Yeah. That's
Solid John Cena joke, though, Todd.
Oh, thanks. Hey, if that's all I can deliver.
Solid John. I always love a John Cena joke. R.I.P. John Cena. He's not dead. He's just retired.
Yeah. It's retired in peace. That's what that means, right?
Yeah. But this murder was the kind of senseless domestic violence that lingered in the public imagination, and you can feel that influence all over Black Christmas. That idea that the real horror isn't out in the woods or lurking in dark alleys, it's already inside your house. So Moore and Bond, they scraped together this tiny production company with the dream of making the movie themselves. Going to be like a small little indie thing. Bond, who had stage directing experience, he had a lot of experience in the theater. He was planning to take the helm and be the director of this film. But early 70s Canada wasn't really throwing money at little indie psychological thrillers. The project just kept stalling, and eventually the two of them just kind of threw up their hands and gave up on producing it themselves. They ended up dissolving their partnership, And they made the agreement that Bond would keep the production company while Moore retained sole writing credit on the script. So they were still going to try to sell the script to other people, but they were kind of like at each other's throats a little bit. Like they agreed. It was sort of an amicable agreement, but it was because like all the stress of trying to get the funding and all of this made these guys who were friends start to like they're like getting mad at each other over business shit. So they're like, you know what? Let's just not do this anymore. So Moore gets the script, which feels like the better end of the deal, honestly, considering that I can't tell you the name of the production company that the other guy got, but we're here talking about a movie 50 years later. So I think Moore got the better end of that deal. But this script, which by this point was not called The Babysitter, had been retitled Stop Me, which was actually a nod to serial killer William Hiron's lipstick scrawled messages, where he would write, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill again." So that was kind of the idea. So the script eventually found its way to producers Harvey Sherman and Richard Schouten, and they liked it, but they wanted to move it onto a university campus. So Moore revised the script accordingly based on their request, and that's the version that landed on the desk of a young filmmaker named Bob Clark.
That line on the wall thing, that "for heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more, I cannot control myself," is creepy AF.
It sure is.
Yeah.
There's something even creepier about it being written in lipstick.
Yeah.
I mean, blood would have been creepy too, but lipstick's creepy on a wall or on a mirror or something, you know?
The lipstick on the mirror thing was supposed to be like romantic, like sexy, but
not when it says, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill again."
You're right.
For these kind of movies too, I was thinking it's interesting, like the origins of something like this is, even though this is going to be credited as like one of the first slashers, we'll talk about that, but the origins are less like Jason Voorhees. Moore said he wanted a specific flavor of pathetic insanity, is what he called it, rather than a silent, hulking villain. You know, the killer's not a monster. He's almost sad and just broken. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention is, while we're handing out first, I guess for this one, it's worth mentioning about this movie that in many circles, it's technically this period started the next year, but it's considered to be right at the dawn of that legendary tax shelter era in Canada,
which we talked a lot about during our David Cronenberg series. Remember?
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to mention that. And so for as a refresher, if you don't remember, the Canadian government started letting investors write off 100% of their investment in a film against their taxable income. So basically, rich doctors and dentists could fund horror movies just to dodge taxes. And they nobody cared if it was good. They just needed it to exist.
Yeah,
and so they
just needed to be made.
Keep their money. Yeah, apparently that's how they got a lot of the funding that they did get for this. They worked it out through that. I was one of the first major beneficiaries of that loophole, which is capitalism at its finest. Friendly Canadians invent slasher movies so that Dr. Friedman can have his third home. Sorry about the dead woman in the attic, eh? But I got a heck of a deal on a lakefront property over in Muskoka.
But hey, we're still benefiting from it all these years later.
Yeah, that was some good facting, Gary. That was really nice.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I did research.
Okay.
Well, Bob Clark, he knew his horror by this point. He had actually started his career with a horror comedy called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which is a fantastic title. Yeah. Really, I mean, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is an incredible. It sounds like a giallo or something, but it's just an incredible title for a horror film. He made that for like $50,000, so very, very low budget. He followed it up with another really excellent low budget chiller named Death Dream.
I've actually seen Death Dream. I've only read about Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which he says took a lot of inspiration from Night of the Living Dead to make another connection to one of our old series. But Death Dream it's a pretty wild anti-Vietnam War movie. Like it's a guy gets killed by a sniper over there, and he comes back home, and he's kind of like becomes sort of like zombie kind of monsterish kind of thing and starts killing people and draining blood. And Bob Clark just started right out the gate. Like he was like, I'm not some hack. I've got like art and messages. Don't even get me started talking about baby geniuses.
It's more subversive than you might think.
Right.
So, but yeah, Death Dream is awesome. So this guy knows his horror. So when he opened up more script, he was able to assess immediately what was working and what needed help. And so he did what any director with taste and good instincts does. He rewrote the hell out of it. Moore's draft, when the original draft, leaned more into like kind of graphic violence, like what you would expect from a horror film or an exploitation horror film. But Clark pulled that back and he focused instead on suspense, atmosphere, and character quirks that made the world feel lived in. He added some streaks of dry humor, like just enough to give the terror some texture without really undercutting it. And I think one of his best additions, and I think most people who have seen the film would agree, was the character of Mrs. Mack, the sorority house mother with a secret booze stash in every room, which was a character that was inspired by Clark's real dear Aunt Mabel, who apparently had a similar system, let's say.
I aspire to someday be Aunt Mabel or Miss Mac. Just stashing booze in the toilet tank is genius. It keeps it chilled.
Yep.
Yeah. In a sorority house bathroom, though, that's like that toilet's probably seeing some things.
Yeah.
She's just like, she's popping that thing and downing it, bacteria and all. She's no chaser. She's gangster.
It's in the tank. It's in the tank part of it. It's not in the bowl.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I do want to say, pulling back, it was a great idea for Black Christmas because I think in the 70s, focusing on gory, you're walking a fine line between terrifying and looking like you're a Chef Boyardee commercial. I feel like the pulling back makes it like have like a way more timeless feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I it's funny you mentioned that. When I started watching it, this was a first viewing for me. Watching it and even seeing Margot Kidder, it just kind of, I was like, wait a minute, was this in the 70s? Was it labeled wrong? Because it feels like it could have been 80s. But yeah, that timeless feel definitely has that timeless feel.
Yeah. Another big thing, too, is you're talking about Clark's changes to the script is just one of my favorite additions I was reading about. It's just that he's really who, in the original script, like Moore was kind of going for like a standard whodunit kind of thing and the reveal at the end. And Clark argued that not knowing was more terrifying than knowing. And he famously told the producers, because they hated this idea, like that he wanted to not reveal anything. He told them, if you want me to do this movie, the killer is not the boyfriend. It's not a janitor. It's just Billy. And so he kind of pioneered that idea that the why does not matter.
Yeah. I mean, which is, we'll talk about it, but something that John Carpenter does just a couple years later, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Clark's fingerprints are really all over what Black Christmas eventually became. Moore had supplied the foundation, but Clark built the house. Clark's additions gave the movie more character, personality, and a sense of a lived-in reality that a lot of later slasher movies wouldn't really bother with. So once Clark had the script in the shape that he wanted, the next step, of course, was finding the right faces to haunt his sorority house. And right out of the gate, Clark is really swinging for the fences. He wanted the legendary Bette Davis to play Mrs. Mack. Now, look, I love this movie. I love Black Christmas, but we are talking about a production being shot in Canada for the kind of budget you could probably find between your couch cushions. Bette Davis was not walking onto that set, not in any reality. That was not happening. And Clark kind of learned that the hard way. I mean, he was shooting for the stars, literally. Hey, A for effort, I guess.
Yeah. The story goes that Bette Davis didn't just say no either. She was actually like insulted.
She was offended.
When she was sitting the script, she reportedly like threw it across the room and called it pornography.
Wow.
Why? Because apparently she hated that Miss Mack would say the word cunt. And I think depending on the draft, there was also the word cunt hooks was one of the words they used.
Wow.
Imagine...
I can't even imagine what
fingers?
that
Is that what that is?
What that could be referring to at all.
Yeah. And imagine the alternate universe where Bette Davis takes the role, and she would have chewed scenery so bad there'd be no house left for Billy.
Oh, so it would have been great, honestly.
She would have bullied him into submission.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we could have looked forward to. But I just think the fact that she considered that pornography in 1974 because of technically just one word is hilarious to me, because like that's a term of endearment in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, and on Drag Race.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
So, like,
Right?
Bette Davis would have lost her fucking mind if she saw something like Euphoria.
Yeah. Well, when he couldn't get Bette Davis, Clark pivoted to something a little bit more realistic, and he landed on a character actress named Marion Waldman, who really gives Mrs. Mack exactly the kind of booze-tinted warmth that Clark had in mind. She's really wonderful in this role, very like instantly likable. Now, for the role of Phil, Clark originally cast, this blew my mind when I found this out, to be honest, guys. Clark cast none other than Gilda Radner. Now, this was before she become, Gilda Radner.
Right.
Unfortunately for the film, not for Radner, who did fine, Gilda had to drop out about a month before filming began because she had been offered a spot as one of the not ready for primetime players on a brand new sketch comedy show that would become Saturday Night Live. You've probably heard of it.
Yeah, because she was doing she went in New York, did the National Lampoon's Radio Hour, I think, which was like the direct pipeline straight. That's where Lorne Michaels cast everybody from SNL at the time, or used a lot of people from there. Yeah, this was a real Pete Best in the Beatles moment, Gilda missed out. She missed out on getting suffocated in plastic wrap so she could be the funniest woman in America. I'm just kidding. That's a good call.
Yeah, worked out
I
well
still
for
try
her.
to imagine her energy in this, though. Like, would she be like Rosanna Dana? It just goes to show you, it's always something. First you fail a test, then you get called a piggy cut, and then you get murdered.
Well, in her place, Clark cast Radner's fellow Second City alum, and I think that Gilda Radner recommended her for the role, but it was an actress named Andrea Martin.
They were really good friends. They were working, I think, right before this on there was a production of Godspell in Toronto that they were doing together.
There's a documentary that just came out about that production of Godspell because of how many people are in that cast. It's like Eugene Levy, all these people who went on to be huge stars are all in that cast. And I really am excited to see that documentary because that's fascinating.
And I guess that's just standard for, I don't know, maybe there's good at people in Canada. So they're just friendly, like Gilda's just like, oh, just take my friend.
Yeah.
If she hadn't taken, Catherine O'Hara would have been there. So
right.
Ironically, she's the real final girl of this whole mess because she even comes back in the remake.
Well, yeah, but she's a different character. So for Jess, our de facto final girl, Clark chose Olivia Hussey, whose star power from Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet really gave the movie its marquee name because that movie was pretty huge at the time. That was a few years before this. Yeah. And Hussey actually later claimed that a psychic told her that she would make a movie in Canada that would make a great deal of money. And that's why she took the role.
Psychic really glossed over the fine print. It's like, you're going to make a movie that makes a lot of money, but you will also have to listen to a man gargle noises about pig fucking for 3 weeks. So, but what a pivot. I just played Juliet, the most romantic role in history. And what's next? I get to get screamed at by a pervert in an attic. So that's range. And I'm old, so this is probably not going to make sense to a lot of people, but Hussey will always be a legend to me because as a preteen, they would show Romeo and Juliet in school.
You got to see boobies.
Yeah, and there's boobies.
Which was a controversy because she was underage at the time.
I was going to say, saying it now is kind of creepy because she was 16 when they actually filmed it, I think. And then years later, before her death, they actually sued the production company for exploiting them. So, problematic. But for 13-year-old Gary, legendary. So,
and then wasn't she in Jesus of Nazareth? Which
I was about to say the fact that she went from Romeo and Juliet to Black Christmas, then goes to play the Virgin Mary in Jesus of Nazareth is insane. The Holy Trinity, virginity, abortion, and immaculate conception. This is perfect.
Well, and then we've got the character of Peter, Jess's increasingly unhinged boyfriend. For that pivotal role, Clark cast Keir Dullea, who just 6 years earlier traveled through the infinite in Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey.
And he's kind of a deliberate red herring there, just in his casting too, because audiences trusted him. He's Dave.
He's Dave Bowman.
But in this movie, he represents the real horror of 1974 in college life. Your controlling ex.
Yeah. Well, not even ex. They're still together, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess they're still technically together. So, I mean, not after this.
Not by the end.
Now they're together eternally.
Keir Dullea has 2 modes: blank stare into space and screaming at pianos. There is no in between for him. And the poor guy too, because first Hal will open the pod bay doors and this chick won't keep the baby. So nobody just will do what the fuck he says, damn it. It's pathetic. He's the original soft boy gaslighting. I don't know. He annoys me in this movie. He's
not supposed to be very sympathetic, I don't think. So
this fucking turtlenecks and piano playing. crying to manipulate you. And if you say no, like they do, then he smashes furniture. I feel like every woman watching this has had at some point, they've dated a Peter or come into contact with one. So I think for a lot of people, he really is probably scarier than Billy.
Yeah, well, he's more realistic, I guess. And DeLay was only available for about a week to shoot on the film because he had some other commitments, another movie or something he had to do. So as a result, his schedule didn't always overlap with the rest of the cast, and Clark had to shoot around him. So he appears to be in the same room with others, mostly thanks to some careful coverage and fancy editing.
He's actually acting against a piece of tape on the wall a lot of the time, which I think creates like kind of a cool psychological effect. Like he feels disconnected from reality in a way. So he never seems to be actually in the scene with Jess. He's always just talking at her, not to her. So it kind of
makes sense for the character. Yeah.
Yeah. It enhances the narcissistic, incapable of real connection kind of thing. That's method acting. Like, I'm going to be so distant and unavailable that I'm going to do my parts in a different province. He came in, he screamed at a wall, smashed a piano, demanded a baby, and then he got out. That is efficient villain work.
And then for the film's first victim, Clark cast Lynn Griffin, who was making her feature film debut as Claire. Griffin later said, Clark promised her that she, this is a quote from Lynn Griffin, that she wouldn't last long, but that her demise would be memorable. And he wasn't lying. I mean, Claire's plastic wrapped corpse in that rocking chair became like the image of the movie. It appears on posters, VHS covers, pretty much every piece of marketing the film ever had. If you see anything Black Christmas, you see Lynn Griffin.
Yeah, I actually kind of fell down a little bit of a rabbit hole with the posters, and I got really hung up on some of the taglines. Most of them are pretty weak. There's like Black Christmas will rock you too. Okay.
Oh, what? That's dumb.
Yeah, it's really dumb. Like, now this one's better. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's great, honestly.
Yeah. That's a good tagline. All
right,
we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, that one was on a lot of stuff. Like that was probably, I would say, the main tagline.
Oh yeah, you see that one a lot. Christmas is coming early this year, and it's murder.
That's a little on the nose.
Yeah, the sort of Christmas you don't dream of. There's a few others. The one that I thought was really cool was he knows when you're sleeping. He knows if you're awake. He knows. I was like, okay, all right. It doesn't really fit like everything that's going on in the narrative, but I was like, that's pretty creepy.
Well, Griffin also, when she talks about her time on the set, she's on screen actually a lot. She's just dead most of the time, but she does joke that when she may have snagged the part because when she went in for her audition, she mentioned, she's like, I'm a really good swimmer and I can actually hold my breath for a really long time, which, given the whole plastic bag on her head for most of her screen time situation, really did kind of turn out to be a job requirement. And yeah, that was actually a real bag over their head. They couldn't poke holes in it or anything. So she's got a plastic bag over her face. If they put holes in it, there'd be like condensation and the bag would move. So she just had to sit perfectly still and trust the crew and trust that they would, if she started suffocating, somebody would help.
I usually use the holding my breath line to impress the boys at the pool.
Hey-o. Just a different kind of job than she normally does, right?
I was trying to think of a way to make a joke about that. So that's why we leave it to the pros.
And when they get here, we'll be happy to have them on the show.
If you pass out, make sure you fall forward. We can get the shot. So she had to apparently come back repeatedly just to sit in that chair with the bag on her head for the cutaways. Like you said, there's no dummy being used or anything like that. Every time you see Claire's rotting corpse, it's the living actress. Yeah. Sitting in the closet, sweating inside a dry cleaning bag. Yeah. Waiting for Bob Clark to yell cut. So it was a big role. She played a piece of furniture for a few weeks.
Hey, but you know what? It's iconic. And she says that Clark would like joke on set sometimes. One thing you hear a lot about when you hear the cast and crew talk about the experience of filming Black Christmas is they talk about how much fun it was and how much like they joked around, and Bob Clark's always trying to keep things lively and like fun on set, despite the fact that the subject matter is very dark. He was always like a joker. And I mean, this guy goes on to make Porky. So obviously he's got like a sense of humor. So he would do things like they'd call cut and he'd be like, all right, guys, it's time for lunch. Lynn, can you just stay right there? We'll all be back in an hour. Stuff like that. Just kind of keeping things light. Everyone on this movie has nothing but great things to say about Bob Clark. He just seemed like the best dude.
He looks like a nice guy.
Yeah,
he does. He looks like a nice guy.
Well, I think that's a really important thing to note, that when you hear about the vibes on different sets, it seems like all the horror movies, everybody's laughing, cutting up, having a good time. And on all the comedies, everyone's trying to like really focus and dial in and take it seriously and all that stuff. So it's important to have somebody at the helm who really can keep the good times rolling.
And here's a little fun fact about Lynn Griffin. So a few years after this movie, she appears in another pretty solid Canadian slasher movie called Curtains. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it stars John Vernon, who you know from Animal House. He's the dean in Animal House. He's the bad guy in Ernest Goes to Camp, things like that. And Samantha Eggar, who listeners of the podcast would know from David Cronenberg's The Brood. She just passed away recently, unfortunately, but she is the lead character in The Brood. So movie called Curtains, really pretty solid slasher movie if you want to check that one out. And Lynn Griffin has a much bigger role in that one. But Griffin also dipped back into the Christmas movie world in the 2006 ABC made-for-TV movie Santa Baby, starring Jenny McCarthy. Lynn Griffin plays Mrs. Claus, and her husband Santa Claus is played by the great George Wendt.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Jenny McCarthy is their daughter, I think. And then Lynn Griffin revised that role in the sequel to Santa Baby 2.
It's not called Santa Babies?
No, because there's still just one baby.
Oh.
That was in 2009, so like 3 years later. But in that one, George Wendt doesn't play Santa Claus. I don't know why. I didn't research the drama behind the scenes on Santa Baby 2. But George Wendt was replaced by Paul Sorvino as Santa Claus, who is such a bizarre choice for Santa Claus to me.
All right.
Even weirder, both of those movies, the Santa Baby movies, were directed by Ron Underwood, the guy who directed Tremors.
This is, I gotta tell you, this feels like a Todd thing a little bit. Like, what is happening right now?
There's your holiday trilogy, folks.
Yeah. We should also mention another member of the cast, Art Hindle, who plays Claire's boyfriend, Chris. Art Hindle, longtime listeners of the show, might remember him as one of the leads in The Brood, where he played the husband of Samantha Eggers. So he plays Chris here. He's a pretty major role in that. And he actually later became kind of a part of Bob Clark's stable. He has some pretty big roles in Porky's 1 and 2. So kind of a long time, very well-known Canadian actor. And then as Barb Clark cast, well, we all know who she is now. She was kind of an unknown at the time, but Margot Kidder. This is a few years before she would be immortalized in comic book movie history as Lois Lane in Richard Donner's Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman.
I'll bet it's hilarious to watch this back to back with Superman. Like Lois Lane is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, and Barb is a girl who tells a kid that turtles breathe through their assholes. Undeniable range from Margot Kidder. This is what I love about her. She initially read for Jess and told Bob Clark that she was bored. And so she explicitly wanted to play Barb because she wanted to be the nasty drunk. And she felt that the good girl role was a trap, was how she put it. So, and she's so good. Like, apparently she got to ad-lib a bunch of the stuff that she talked about. Like,
she was apparently also really drunk in several of the scenes.
I was going to get to that. Yeah. But the stuff about like the turtles and all that was apparently not really in the script. Like what she was going off on is she's got this aggressive energy.
Yeah, she's great.
It's not what you expect from a horror movie victim, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, she loved to party, so she was like the rumor is that she was like coming in hungover. I don't know, maybe she wasn't acting, she's just existing.
Yeah, I mean, but she's great in the role, and I mean, and it does feel like a real person rather than like a horror movie trope, you know. And I
love her.
Yeah, I like to see this. I like to think of this as she is Lois Lane. This is the college years before she became. She's going to college for journalism.
I don't know if you remember what happens to Barb in this movie.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I get it, because like chain smoking, like she's drinking cheap scotch, not giving a fuck about anything. Like she is a menace.
She
But
is.
I think that's why Billy waited for her to be asleep, because if he'd have come out and she'd have seen him coming, like she would have verbally just cooked him.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to deal with that.
And honestly, the fellatio joke is the funniest joke in the movie.
Yeah.
It is. And the other, I don't know the guy's name who plays the police officer in that scene, but he has the best dumb guy look on his face at all times, and it's perfect. It's a fantastic joke. But anyway, we've also got, going on with the cast, we've got Lieutenant Fuller, the detective investigating the disappearances. Now, originally, that role went to the legendary actor Edmund O'Brien, but when O'Brien arrived on set, it immediately became clear that his health had declined pretty dramatically. He was frail, he was suffering from Alzheimer's, so he struggled to remember his lines. They were worried about it being so cold, when he was filming. So the producers pretty quickly realized that he could not safely perform this role.
He was so disoriented that he was like trying to direct scenes that weren't his, and he would like wander off sometimes. And so it's kind of a dark moment if you just like think about it too much, like a guy who's had an Academy Award ending his career being fired from this movie, this cheap Canadian movie. It made me think of like the whole meat grinder nature of the film industry, like we talked about during those like Inland Empire and Mulholland Drive and stuff with David Lynch. Just I don't know, just kind of sad.
But yeah, but this was more of a, like, they didn't want to get rid of them. And Bob Clark has said that it's the most difficult thing he's had to do in his entire career was firing Edmund O'Brien, but he just couldn't do it. He just physically and mentally could not perform the role. So they had to call his agent and let him know, hey, we can't do this. This is not going to work. Yeah. So when that decision was made, they made an emergency call to John Saxon. Now, I don't know if we need to remind folks who John Saxon is. Like, this guy is genre royalty. He's been in a ton of cult films over the years. Most people probably know him as another cop in another horror movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street. He also gets to fight Bruce Lee and Enter the Dragon. Like, the dude is a badass.
I always keep forgetting he fought Bruce Lee. That's
he's in Enter the Dragon. He's awesome in it.
He would have been just coming off Enter the Dragon with this.
Yeah, this would have been like a year later. Yeah. So Saxon had actually already been considered during the early casting and had read the script. There was actually a bit of like a mix-up, I think, where Edmund O'Brien ended up getting cast instead of John Saxon. So he was already familiar with the project. So within a couple of days, within like 2 days of being contacted, he flies from New York to Toronto. His plane lands around midnight. He checks into his hotel. Then he is immediately shuttled to the set to shoot the bullhorn scene in the woods until about 3 a.m. Like, this guy's a total pro. Like, he has not even had sleep yet.
Yeah, no complaints. Yeah, like I keep saying, a lot of these actors have range, but more importantly, he has a mortgage to pay. So he's gonna get the work. And you mentioned this, but him playing that lawman role is a direct blueprint for Donald Thompson's Nancy's dad in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And Wes Craven was apparently a big fan of Black Christmas, and casting Saxon was kind of an homage. Like, he's essentially playing the same cop in two different decades, basically. Failing to save teenage girls in both. He is the patron saint of failed policing. I love him so much as an actor and as a character, but in every movie, he wears a badge, looks good, solves nothing until everyone is dead. And he is the visual definition of too little too late.
Yeah,
that is what he does.
To be honest, this is the prequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, he just, after these, horrific murders, he moves to Springwood, Ohio.
Now, we don't know that. Wait, is that canon? Isn't the thing about Nightmare on Elm Street, they don't ever say the name of the town? Am I crazy?
Listen, the internet is full of all kinds of information.
I thought that was the whole. I don't know. We're not going to go down this fucking rabbit hole right now.
But it is fun to think about that. Like, after this, he moved and got the house on Elm Street.
He moved to Elm Street, yes.
And he and some of the other locals set Freddy Krueger
Springwood.
on fire.
Springwood. I couldn't think of it. Springwood, Ohio.
That's what Todd said.
Yeah.
But do they say that in the movie?
Yeah, I think they say that, don't they?
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking
that they at least say Springwood. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do I know? And finally,
get your act together, Justin.
Yeah, I'll just shut up.
Short show today, folks.
Let's talk about the killer, or at least the killer's voice, which is honestly one of the most bizarre behind the scenes details on this whole production. So multiple people actually contributed to the voice of Billy. That included Bob Clark himself, a female performer that nobody seems to know exactly. Nobody can ever say who she was, and most notably an actor named Nick Mancuso. So during auditions, Bob Clark was auditioning a bunch of different people for this role, and Mancuso says that Clark actually had him sit with his back to him as he auditioned because Clark didn't want to be influenced by the physicality of the person talking. He just wanted to listen to the voice.
He wasn't just like some voice actor either. He was like a experimental theater actor, I think. And then
he was really young, like 19 years old at the time, I think.
He's actually gone on to have a pretty decent career. He was almost Indiana Jones at one point, I think.
What?
So yeah, I swear. He was up for the role in Indiana Jones. Like there's a great article about him. I'll have to look it up again, but it was basically about how it drives him crazy. Like this role is the one that comes back to like haunt him all the time out of all the things he's done. It was like The Guardian or somebody or BBC was reaching out to him, and he's just like, why do they want to talk to me? Then he said he like remembered the time of year, and he's like, oh, it's about Black Christmas.
He cannot escape it.
Like he didn't really use a script or anything for the Billy rants. Like Bob Clark would just give him a prompt, like, you are a worm or you hate women. And Mancuso would just go into like a trance state, I guess, and just start improvising filth. He was method acting an incel.
Yeah.
And if some of that came out of his soul, honestly, we need to check his hard drives. But
yeah,
I would pay money to see the unedited tapes of what that was like. Just
right.
Bob Clark's like, okay, I just want you to channel every intrusive thought you've ever had about women and just vomit it out in this microphone. And it's just hours of a grown man in a dark room screaming something like, lick the pig, lick it. While Bob Clark's just like eating a sandwich in the other room and giving a thumbs up.
That infamous sound of Billy, that voice, that layered fraction, almost inhuman vocal effect that he has, that all came later during post-production. So like all the stuff you're talking about, this wasn't being done on set. It was done in post. And Clark apparently directed Mancuso to perform some of the lines while standing on his head, which would like compress his thorax, his chest, and produce that more strained, unsettling quality, that really weird note. It was a pretty intentional choice to make Billy sound like someone who was psychologically shattered.
Standing on your head to record your dialogue is the kind of pretentious artistic choice David Lynch would have made.
Yeah.
He would have liked that fun fact.
He would.
Some people think it doesn't make a difference. I think it's the difference that makes it.
Didn't Mancuso do like a audio commentary as Billy?
Yeah, if you ever wanted to just watch this movie like and feel like you're with Billy, there's like audio commentary of just him as Billy
in character,
talking through the movie.
Yeah, because I think it's on the Shout Factory Blu-ray, because I didn't listen to it, but I watched the behind the scenes documentary on there, and they've got some footage in that documentary of him recording that commentary. So it's just like Nick Mancuso, who now is like in his 60s or something, sitting at a desk watching it on a small TV with like a salad in front of him and a sandwich, and he's just like spouting the weirdest shit off the top of his head. No script in front of him, mind you, so he's ad-libbing the whole time.
Oh boy. Oh, Nick.
Yeah.
They also used like the sound editor had like a variable speed oscillator was what they called it, to like shift the pitch. That's why you get it. It can sound like multiple different people. So it
kind of reminded
Billy
me
and
of
Agnes.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of like the effect that William Friedkin used on The Exorcist for the demon voice, where it's like multiple voices kind of mixed together to give it that really unearthly kind of quality, because you don't know if it's one person or two people when Billy's talking, and sometimes it is literally it might be Bob Clark. I think Bob Clark did all the singing when he's singing and stuff, and then they've got the woman's voice in there who is maybe Agnes, or Billy being Agnes. But because they use different actors, it really gives you this idea of this guy who has like maybe multiple personality disorder or something like that, you know. But like I said, like a lot of that stuff was done. I mean, it was all really recorded in post, because on set when they were filming the telephone scenes, none of the actors heard that version of the calls. They would have a crew member off camera reading toned down placeholder lines during filming. Those more explicit, deranged, deeply disturbing phone calls that ended up in the film, those were added later, meaning a lot of the cast didn't really hear what Billy was actually saying until they saw the finished movie, until they like went to the premiere and saw the final film. Then they were like, holy shit.
When I read that, I was like, imagine being Olivia Hussey's mom at the premiere. and supposedly when a lot of the cast finally did see the movie at the premiere, they were genuinely shocked by how vulgar the movie is.
I'm still shocked by how vulgar some of Billy's lines are, considering this movie, when it was made. Like, it feels like that was pushing the envelope for 1974.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like it's pushing the envelope
in Canada.
now.
Right. Yeah.
And the word cunt, that would just still, it has like some impact with it.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because that word's been co-opted. But we joked about like Drag Race, like it's been co-opted now for a different meaning. Like if you're cunty, it's like not an insult. It's a good thing. Yeah. But when said the way that Billy says it in that context and with that ferocity in his voice, obviously that has a very different feel.
You're right.
That feels still dangerous,
Maybe, I was gonna say maybe it's more about where it's coming from.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And supposedly, like when it did like its TV premiere in the UK, they like put some sound effect of like a creaking door or something over it
when he said that.
Yeah, and so I don't know, but I feel like that could make it worse.
I know.
You're just like, what is he saying?
It makes me think of like when Weird Al did the polka version of Closer by Nine Inch Nails, and it's just like the sound of like a duck quacking.
Yes.
All right. Well, Todd, this brings us to your favorite segment of the show, which is,
and that brings the count to 1.
This is the part on our bonus episode, or our extended episode rather, where Todd goes into the final frontier to see if any of our cast members happen to have also appeared on Star Trek. And I've got a lot of hope for this one because you've said in the past that a lot of Star Trek is filmed in Canada, right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking you have to have found something.
I did, and it is a doozy.
Okay.
Honestly.
I found one. I wonder if it's the same one.
Probably.
I actually found one just kind of on accident.
Oh. Today we've got Andrea Martin as Phil.
That's the one I found. It's a good one.
Yeah, she, big star on Broadway, but in 1995 she did an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It was season 3, episode 23, Family Business. Side note, directed by Rene Auberjois, who played Odo on the series.
Nice.
Yeah. She only appeared in this one episode in the role of Ishka, and if that doesn't sound familiar, it's because she's not referred to as Ishka.
They don't say her name.
No, they call her Moogie. She is Quark's mom.
Yeah.
And
Rom.
And Rom, of course, yes. But yeah, she turns in a hell of a performance. The interesting thing about this is at that time in Legacy Trek, comedy wasn't really the order of the day. But when you've got these folks in these huge, ridiculous prosthetics, talking about the weird cultural things within this alien species, you can tell that the cast was having an absolute ball with this episode, and it's so funny.
And if anyone's not familiar, like Quark is a Ferengi, and they have these giant weird ears, so they're and big bulbous head, like they're very strange looking aliens.
Oh yeah.
So she would have been under all that.
And not only does Quark looks weird in and of himself, but think about what his mother would look like. So we're talking 20, 30, maybe 40 years or more older. So now you've got this older woman who is just giving Quark the business, and it is so funny and so fun. Highly recommend it. It's a great watch, especially if you've got a weird eccentric family. Put on this episode, season 3, episode 23, Family Business, and you will feel much better about the stuff you deal with in your family. So
I love Andrea
and that's
Martin.
everybody in Star Trek.
Just the one, huh?
Just the one. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I love Andrea Martin. I always love seeing her pop up in things. Like
yeah.
I remember her in like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She's the aunt who like she's so funny in that. But one of my favorite things she does is in Hedwig and the Angry Inch. She plays Hedwig's manager, and I love her so much in that movie because she's funny, but she's also like she's got some great dramatic moments. I mean, it's a favorite movie of mine anyway, but I will always think of her from that. But I had read somewhere that they had wanted that character to come back in Deep Space Nine, but Andrea Martin did not like doing the prosthetics. She got claustrophobic under the prosthetics, so she kind of refused to come back because she was so uncomfortable.
I think the most famous story of that happening is with Harry Dean Stanton. Or no, not Harry Dean Stanton. Sorry. Jeffrey Dean.
And what?
Sorry. Let's try that again. Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
He was in Star Trek?
He was in an episode of Enterprise and he played one of the Xindi, and they're this very elaborate, in a word, a very elaborate prosthetic thing. And he was so uncomfortable, and the shoot was so grueling and not very kind. Folks that are kind of more in the Star Trek know the turmoil that was Star Trek Enterprise, but it almost made him quit acting.
Wow.
Like, he's gone on record for saying that.
I mean, I think there's a special type of actor who specializes in being like a prosthetic actor, like a Doug Jones, who is almost always under prosthetics in everything they do. To be able to do that day in and day out and have the patience to sit there for hours at a time and be put under that, and then to be able to emote through that, like it takes a lot.
Yeah, college level mask work doesn't really prepare you for Star Trek.
Right. Well, that's it. That's everybody in Star Trek. I'm surprised there's just the one, honestly.
Just the one.
You know, but it was a weird time. Like there was no Star Trek on the air at this time, I guess. So
yeah, this was mid '70s. So
it was a few years before the movie brought it back.
Yeah, and I think the animated series was already in the can.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a weird
spot.
Weird spot for Trek. But well, cool. Andrea Martin. So with the cast locked in, the production on Black Christmas kicked off in March of 1974 in Toronto. The budget was around $686,000, so not a lot, even by 1974 standards. About $200,000 of that came from the Canadian Film Development Corporation, which meant that this was a movie where every dollar really had to stretch. Luckily, Clark already had experience doing a lot with very little, thanks to his earlier horror films with even lower budgets. I mean, remember, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things was a $50,000 movie.
Yeah.
So this is like a lot for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, most of this film, if you've seen it, you know, it takes place in the sorority house, which was actually a real home rented for the shoot. They're not building sets for this. They're shooting on location in every scene for this. Production designer Karen Bromley worked really closely with Clark to give each woman her own visual identity through the way that their rooms were decorated. And it really helped the house to feel lived in, you know, a sorority home with personalities, not a generic horror movie backdrop. Now, the attic scenes where we see Claire constantly, those were shot inside the same house. So even that is not a set. That is an actual attic that they're shooting in.
Wow.
Which is wild to me. Now, the basement sequences, towards the end of the movie, when Jess is down in the basement, those were not filmed in this house. They were filmed in a real basement, but the basement that was in this house didn't quite have the space or the layout that they needed, so they found another basement.
And the lighting budget was so low on it too. I was reading that they couldn't afford like those huge HMI lights, I think they called them, to illuminate the house for like the night scenes. So instead, all the lighting is like they called them like the practical lights, specifically like the Christmas lights strung up everywhere all the time. So, and it kind of gives it like Bob Clark called it, I forget the word he used for it, but talking about how it has this kind of like high contrast look or something.
Yeah, it's got a very unique, I love the visual style of this film. I know a lot of its visual style came from budgetary limitations, but there's something about, there's a warmth to it that, it's weird. There's a warmth to the coloration because you're getting that glow from the Christmas lights and things like that, but it also feels very wintry and cold. You know, it just works. It really does.
Well, another thing they did too was like to enhance like the feeling of isolation, the sound team, like they said they mixed in like wind noise to be almost vocal. So if you're like listening to it with headphones, like I got some new headphones and I was just sitting in my room watching it and didn't want to bother anybody else. So I had the headphones on. The wind, like when it shows like some outside shots and stuff, it almost sounds like screaming or moaning or something. And so it's like, it's supposed to like subliminally stress the audience out.
Yeah.
To like, even though it's silent, it's loud somehow. And so just to give you that special holiday depression vibe you've all been looking for.
You know, I don't need a lot of help around the holidays with that. Speaking of which, the holidays, this holiday setting that we kind of take for granted now because there are so many like Christmas horror films now. I don't know, this might have been the first. I'm not really sure. I need to research that, but it's such a huge part of this movie's tone that it's kind of wild to remember that it was not originally written as a Christmas film at all. That original script by Moore was not set at Christmas. It was Bob Clark who made that change himself. He's always said that he loved the irony of something so dark and nasty happening during such a warm, festive time of year. Sort of the same reason that Shane Black gives, honestly.
I was about to say Shane Black does the exact same thing.
Exactly. But honestly, like the idea fits the film so perfectly that it really is impossible to imagine it set anywhere else on the calendar. Now, the problem was that they were shooting this thing in the spring. They were shooting this in March, April, and May. Now, Toronto gets a lot of snow. Not so much in March, April, and May. Now, it's still cold. I mean, they talk about how cold it was on the shoot. It's like 10, 20 degrees Celsius, but still very, very cold. And you can often see the breath of the actors in the outdoor scene. So it's cold enough for them to have breath vapors, but it wasn't exactly a winter wonderland. There's not a lot of snow on the ground. They wanted snow on the ground so it looked more Christmassy. So their solution was airport runway foam, of all things. They had local fire crews come out and spray this stuff all across the yard to make snowbanks, and then topped it off with truckloads of ice shavings to give it that glint that you get, that like shine that you get from snow. And then with, some smart camera angles mixed in so that the houses that don't have fake snow on them but aren't really seen. Suddenly, Toronto's springtime looked bleak enough to make Bing Crosby cry.
In some wide shots, the snow is literally like styrofoam sheets like laid on the grass. So like if you look close, like the snow doesn't even really melt. It's just kind of bouncing.
Yeah. Don't look too close.
According to Margot Kidder, too, to sell like at the party, like the Christmas spirit and stuff, that the cast and crew used this acting technique called getting plastered. And it could have just been her. I feel like that could be a story where she's like everybody was doing it, but
everybody's
doing it. Yeah. But there's no special effect more convincing than a group of Canadians drinking rye whiskey.
That's right. It's true. It's a cultural tradition in Canada. Well, Bob Clark really wanted the audience to feel trapped in the house alongside with the characters, and one of the most important tools for achieving that was in the use of point-of-view shots. Now, although POV would later become a slasher movie staple, this wasn't really common at the time. It became iconic really because of Black Christmas, and it became known as one of Black Christmas's defining stylistic fingerprints.
This really jumped out at me. There were some stuff that was clearly POV, like, and you see his hands, like when he's climbing up the trellis and stuff like that. But then there were some where it was the camera as almost the malignant spirit, like from Evil Dead, moving around. And that was what jumped out at me. And I was just kind of like, wow. We kind of focus on the slashers, but I wouldn't call Evil Dead a slasher, but
not at all. No,
the staples that are established in this movie reach very far, very wide.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that Sam Raimi took at least some inspiration from this. I mean, obviously the point of view from the Evil Dead is it's often low to the ground,
right?
And it moves really fast. But one thing that Bob Clark does here is in these point of view shots, they're using a really wide lens. So it kind of distorts the picture and it makes it look a little bit different than everything else that you're seeing in the movie. But when you're seeing it from the killer's point of view, from Billy's point of view, it does look a little bit different, which sort of clues the audience in that you're not seeing, this is not just a camera shooting this. This is somebody's looking, somebody's watching, because it looks different than everything else.
Yeah.
Now, the man who's responsible for pulling all this off was a camera operator by the name of Albert J. Dunk, who should have been a basketball player.
Of course.
But he was working under cinematographer Reginald Morris. Now, Dunk performed most of the killer's physicality, like the climbing, the stalking, even Claire's murder. The hands you see wrapping the plastic bag around Claire's head belong to Albert Dunk. This POV rig that he had on himself was very physical. He had this 35 millimeter camera. They're not using like small cameras. They're not using iPhones. They're not using digital cameras. They're using a 35 millimeter camera that weighs close to 100 pounds. So Dunk used this like custom built setup that allowed the camera to sit on his shoulder while his hands stayed free. And that's how they shot that famous trellis climb at the beginning of the movie, where he's climbing up the side of the house. Dunk is actually walking up or climbing up this trellis with the camera strapped on him. And his shadow is the only visible shape. They rigged it so that the camera's shadow wouldn't show. And they had this like hinge on it to where even when he looked up, like the camera would look up. So it's looking up with his point of view. Yeah. And they shot that trellis scene on the first day of filming. It's the last shot on the first day of filming. But it worked so well that it basically set the tone for the whole rest of the movie.
Being put in those situations where we got to get this shot and finding ways to make it work. Sam Raimi bolted it onto a big old board and they just kind of moved it around.
Sam Raimi's solution was a little more low tech, I think, than Albert Dunk's, which, made of like stainless steel, but whereas Raimi literally just nailed it onto a 2x4.
Yeah, but all that to say, like, this is really impressive.
It's innovative, yeah.
And again, keeping in mind, this was 70... Well, they were probably shooting 73.
They're shooting in 74 in the spring, early 74.
Okay, so early 74. Like, this wasn't a thing. This is and again, just what you were describing, that they got the camera to move with his head. That's impressive by itself. It weighs 100 pounds, and the dude is climbing on the outside of a house. Like, that is all kinds of impressive.
Yeah, you'd need like 6 stunt coordinators and a CGI double these days. But back then, it was just like, strap that box on Bert and tell him to get up there.
Somebody's at the bottom of the trellis just waiting in case he were to fall. I got you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I saw some places debate around with the 100-pound thing, saying stripped down, it could be like 40, 50 pounds or something. But the danger's still real, because even if that's the case, like, he wasn't wearing safety wires, for one. So if he had fallen, the weight of that camera is going to crush him or break his neck.
Yeah.
And the heavy breathing you're hearing in the POV shots isn't acting. It's just Albert Dunk trying not to die.
Look, I've cracked a rib sneezing. Okay, like, this is what this guy is accomplishing.
No, and the trellis was not reinforced. It was just a trellis. He was climbing a decorative piece of wood with the weight of a teenager strapped to his chest. That goes beyond cinematography now. He's like, he made a suicide pact with Bob Clark. Like, he's gonna make this happen. But yeah, you mentioned the Evil Dead stuff. It was I was definitely thinking of like the Steadicam, that this is like a precursor to that, which comes out in like 75. I think we've even talked about that maybe. But so he MacGyvered a Steadicam out of spare parts and determination before the technology technically existed. I think he called it the Unicam or something like that. Man, if he had patented it, then he might have been a millionaire now instead of the idiot climbing a trellis in the dark.
He and James Cameron would be sitting on matching submarines.
Clark's directing style in the movie really leaned heavily on movement and suggestion. Remember, the original script was a lot more like violent, but that's not what he was going for. He loved suspense built from anticipation, long stretches of silences inside the house, that winter wind that you mentioned, Gary, just howling outside the windows, the camera creeping down hallways. He really wanted the viewer to feel fear before anything actually happened. Like, he wanted you to anticipate something was going to happen. That's suspense. That's scarier than anybody can jump out behind a corner and startle you. That's not being scared. Being scared is like not knowing when somebody's going to be around the next corner. And a big part of his sort of psychological misdirection on this was in the way that he filmed the character of Peter. Clark intentionally staged and lit Keir Dullea so that he resembled the glimpses that we had seen of the killer, like in silhouettes, tight frames. He used disembodied sound, like even in that phone call between Peter and Jess, Clark keeps the camera primarily on Jess, allowing Peter's voice to float in from off screen, just like how we heard Billy. He wanted the audience to attach that disembodied voice to Billy without really consciously realizing it. It's like subliminal. He also mirrored some of DeLay's movements and blocking with the killers, like nothing blatant, just enough to keep the suspicion alive. It's a big reason that the red herring works so well. It's because Clark never says that Peter is the killer, but the visual language sort of nudges the viewer towards that conclusion. And I noticed that a lot watching it this time, like, and knowing damn well that Peter's not the killer, because A, I've seen this movie before. B, Jess literally says, oh, he was here when the killer called. He couldn't possibly be the killer. And it's still convincing. It's still shockingly convincing how well that misdirection worked. It's because, like, it feels obvious at times, but only because Clark wants you building that assumption yourself. Like, he's allowing you to make that choice.
The key scene that sells it for me is like when Peter smashes the piano. I've joked about it a couple of times, but it's a crazy like outburst that mirrors what's happening in the attic.
And you see him as a violent person in that scene.
Yeah. And so Clark, like, supposedly he was like directing Keir Delay to act in that scene with like the same erratic like intensity as the killer would have. Like you were talking about, just subconsciously, it suggests that he might not be the killer, but at least he shares that same kind of rage, and especially against females. So it's almost like they're like different sides of the same coin or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In a way, Peter might be scarier because Billy just kills you. Like, Peter's gonna write like a concerto about it and look at you disappointed. He's gonna be wearing that turtleneck. It's worse than that.
Just the turtleneck. And finally, even though Dunk does most of the physical work for Billy, like we've discussed, one of maybe the most iconic moment in the entire movie, at least visually, didn't come from him. In the climax, when Jess is standing at the cracked door and we see that bloodshot eye staring out. I mean, it's been used on movie posters and all kinds of stuff. For years, it was a mystery as to who that eye was, but it was finally revealed a few years ago. It was Bob Clark himself. That's Bob Clark's eye. Dunk had to operate the camera, so obviously he can't do it. He's the guy holding the camera. So Clark stepped in to give the shot exactly the look that he wanted.
Scariest peekaboo in film history.
It's such a good shot.
Yeah, if I opened a door and I saw that, I would not even scream. I would just politely close it back and then I'd jump out the window. I would be done. But there are like, you look around online and there are entire essays about that specific shot. Like, it is the literalization of the male gaze.
So it was like, for a long time, nobody like could remember who that was, or there were conflicting reports about whose eye that was. And it was finally like officially, I guess, solidified. And there's a book that I use as one of really my main resource on this, other than like the Shout Factory Blu-ray and all this stuff on there. Really, really good book if you're into this movie. The book is called It's Me, Billy, Black Christmas Revisited. It's written by Paul Downey. I mean, it's a series of like interviews with cast and crew and everything. And that book, they were finally able to talk to enough people to like narrow it down to it being Bob Clark, including an interview with Bob Clark that they found where he basically admits that, yes, that was me. Really great book if you want a little even more about Black Christmas than we're getting into here, including the remakes. This book came out in 2022, so it's pretty recent, but really, really good stuff.
I think this is why it's an iconic part of the movie, but I mean, it just doesn't, it's not just like a scary scene. It's like predatory.
Yeah, he's voyeuristic. He's watching you. You know, that's scary. Like the idea of that somebody's been watching you this whole time and you didn't know they were there. Like that's pretty fucking scary. You know? The production on Black Christmas wrapped in May of 1974, and with the footage in the can, Black Christmas moved on to post-production. Now, the edit itself took about 3 months, with editor Stan Cole shaping the material into the film's distinctive rhythm. Cole would later become pretty well known for his award-winning work with Adam Egoyan, this really prominent independent Canadian director. But Black Christmas is an early look at how sharp his instincts already were. The editing in this movie is fantastic. It really knows how to build tension.
The masterpiece on that is, I love the cross-cutting sequence between the children singing carols at the front door and then a brutal murder is happening, you know? Yeah. And it's like that juxtaposition, the innocence and violence thing. It's like, and I've seen some people compare it to The Godfather, the baptism scene or whatever. But that Black Christmas
is the same year, right?
70
or a year before.
2, I think, was Godfather, wasn't it?
Okay. Yeah. 74 was Godfather 2.
It's just that Black Christmas is a little more visceral, I guess. It's the baptism scene for perverts. So
Caroler showing up at my doorstep is just as scary to me. honestly.
It does. That also gives me anxiety, and I can't imagine why people do it. And I never want it to happen to me. I say that every year because I just don't want to stand in my doorway making eye contact with these people singing at me. How is this ever a thing?
That is terrifying to me. Like, like I would honestly just shut my door and walk away and pretend it didn't happen.
I mean, even Jess is having to do that, and
while dealing with her friends disappearing.
Yeah, exactly. This is not the time for this.
He's like, I've got a lot going on right now. Like my friends are being murdered left and right. I do not have time. But she sits there and has to politely watch the entire song.
Yeah, but there is something about like I don't know, just watching. It feels like it's a dirty trick, but I love it. Like there's like
works.
a primal like this is wrong response in your reptile brain that it's doing, and
it's the visual, like it is that juxtaposition of the horror of what's going on in the attic or wherever they're at that time. I think it's Barb being killed at that point, if I remember right. I don't know, but someone being murdered while this like festive tradition of the holiday is going on at the same time. Like they're both happening at the same time. You know, like that's very well done. I mean, I really think Holt's editing is one of the film's secret weapons. You've got those long pauses, the very careful withholding. Like he's never in a hurry. The way the movie just keeps you slightly off balance all the time. Clark was already leaning into suggestion over explicitness, and I think Cole just knew exactly how to cut around that. He builds this tension out of the silent moments, out of negative space, out of those slow creeping camera moves through the house where you feel like you're being watched, like you're waiting for something to happen long before anything actually does, and that's all in the editing.
The editing of the final scene is legendary too, for what it doesn't show. Just what you're talking about, like
talking about like when Jess is in the bed at the end.
Yeah, like we never see the police find the bodies in the attic. We never see Billy escape or stay. The camera just pans away. The screen just it eventually goes black. The phone's ringing, and so
so good.
There's no closure. It's just audience abuse. Like Clark wanted people, he said, to like leave feeling unsatisfied and unsafe. Like it's just you get no catharsis here. It's just the ultimate troll. You're like in the dark theater when the movie's over and the noise is just going, and it's just have a nice Christmas. You're all gonna die.
That's a Weird Al song, I think, isn't it? the night Santa went crazy. That's a line from that.
That's true.
Composer Carl Zitter took an equally unconventional approach to the score of the film, and it's hard to even call it a score because it's not like traditional music. It's more like it's almost like sound design, the way that he does the music in this. He modified a piano actually by attaching forks, combs, and bits of metal directly onto the strings to warp their natural tone. And then after recording those sounds, he ran them through tape machines and then slowed them down, which creates this sort of eerie, off-kilter landscape that feels less like traditional music and more like the house itself is groaning. Like there's just like a sickness there. It's really scary.
Sure, but if I put a fork in a piano, I get kicked out of Guitar Center. So I don't get this. He does it. He's a genius. This is the way of the world. And the other thing he did to modify too was like he like tied some weights to the keys or something too to like have that like long droning sound or something. And there was something about him recording like weird like guttural noises and just like slowing them down to mix with the wind or something. So that's just wicked.
It's really good. Well, Black Christmas opened first in Canada, premiering in Toronto on October 11th, 1974. And for a modestly budgeted Canadian horror film, it made a pretty immediate impact. It pulled in $143,000 in its first 2 weeks in Toronto alone, which is pretty good for a movie this size. And it eventually pulled in around $1.3 million across Canada, making it the third highest grossing Canadian film ever at that point. The strong domestic performance put the film on Warner Brothers' radar, and the studio picked it up for U.S. distribution, and this is sort of where things go a little sideways. It's so stupid, but Warner executives were convinced that the title Black Christmas would confuse American audiences, not because it was like too bleak, but because they were worried that people might think it was part of the still popular blaxploitation movement. They thought that people would think it was a blaxploitation movie because it is called Black Christmas.
Jeez.
So their solution was to retitle the film as Silent Night, Evil Night. So that's what it was released as in America on December 20th, 1974.
That sounds like a note that was like, well, we have to give them a note. Like,
Yeah. So dumb.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
And it didn't help the film renaming it. It didn't help at all. It probably also didn't help that the film opened the same week as The Godfather Part 2 and the James Bond movie The Man with the Golden Gun.
Oh.
And so, brace yourself. This tiny Canadian slasher movie with no marquee stars got absolutely flattened at the box office. It grossed $284,000 total during its initial American run.
Oh. And with what it made in Canada, did it even crack 50%? Because it was like 680 some was the budget, right?
It made $1.3 million in Canada.
Oh, 1.3. Oh, okay. Sorry,
It made its money back and double its money before it even came to America.
Oh, okay.
So it did well in Canada. $1.3 million in Canada was pretty good.
Yeah.
But here in America, Silent Night, Evil Night, as it was known, came and went without much notice. So Black Christmas didn't really re-enter the American consciousness until a few years later when NBC acquired it for broadcast television under yet another title, which was Stranger in the House, which is a very just generic, horror movie title.
Yeah.
So it was slated to air on NBC on January 28, 1978. Perfect time for a Christmas movie, honestly, a month after Christmas. Not as bad as
like when Halloween was in July or something.
No, I was thinking Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, Garbage Day, which was released in fucking April.
Oh yeah.
But
I remember Halloween H2O coming out in midsummer.
Yeah, it's a summer tentpole movie. Yeah, sure, that makes sense, guys. Well, Stranger in the House was slated to air in January of 1978. So this is a full 4 years after, almost 4 years after it had originally been released in Canada. But it was going to be the Saturday night movie of the week on NBC. And then things took a very dark turn, an unexpectedly dark turn. 2 weeks before its scheduled airing, 2 high-profile murders occurred at Florida State University in Tallahassee. A man broke into the Chi Omega sorority house late at night one night, killed 2 women in their bed, and then violently assaulted 2 others who survived the incident. And the parallels to Black Christmas were so uncomfortable that Florida's governor personally contacted the president of NBC and said, "Please do not show this movie. Do not show. This is hitting a little too close to home." And it worked. I mean, NBC pulled it from the schedule, at least in Florida and a few other markets. They pulled it from the schedule completely. And that killer, by the way, if you've never heard that story, was later identified as Ted Bundy.
Teddy.
See, now I call this having your finger on the pulse. This is the programming director was on it. I don't see what the problem is. It's he knows what's going on.
So the film's would-be American debut, first theatrical and then television, was essentially derailed twice for 2 very different reasons. And to top it all off, critics at the time weren't exactly showering it with love. The New York Times' A.H. Weiler shrugged it off as a whodunit that raises the question as to why it was made, which is a sick burn, honestly. That's great. Variety called it a bloody, senseless, kill-for-kicks feature.
I love these old reviews, by the way, where critics complained that a horror movie was too unpleasant.
Yeah, right.
That's like complaining the roller coaster was too fast. This is the fucking function of the product.
It's what it's there for.
What are you doing?
And then noted slasher movie hater Gene Siskel gave it. This may have been his villain origin story as a slasher movie hater. He gave it 1.5 out of 4 stars, calling it a routine shocker that forced talented actresses into junk roles, which I think is such bullshit, because if there's one thing about this movie is that the women feel more like real people than in not only most horror movies, but in a lot of just movies, period. So shut the fuck up, Gene Siskel, is what I say.
You sound like his wife.
Yeah, well, he's dead now. So, and Gary, that brings us to our next bonus segment for Cinema Shock Plus, where we find out what the internet thinks of Black Christmas.
Well, perhaps the most important opinions lie on the internet. So This might surprise you, but if you go strolling around on Letterboxd or somewhere looking for what people think about this movies, you can find some folks that need to go take a nap. We'll start though with Ash. Strap in, everybody. Now, we'll keep it simple with Ash, who gave it a half star and said, "This might possibly be the worst film I've ever seen."
I am constantly surprised by how many people say that about any movie.
Yeah.
Because for most of these, I feel like you just haven't seen a whole lot of movies.
Right? You can't have.
No.
This can't be the worst movie.
No.
Oh, let's go with Son of Satan with a half star. One of the worst movies I've seen. The plot. Oh, he goes on. He says the plot twist was predictable. Nothing explained. It was a bad story. Pacing garbage. Overall, it's a shitty movie. Would not recommend to anyone ever.
What plot twist is he talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
There's not
was it the boyfriend? I don't.
Was that's not a twist? There is no plot twist.
I was trying to think of anything that could be a twist.
Yeah.
Did he watch the wrong? Did he watch the wrong Black Christmas? Did he log the wrong one? Did he watch the 2006 one? Because that one does have a plot twist.
That's interesting. Madison gave it a half star and said, probably the worst movie.
We're going for a record.
All right, everybody calm down. Let's move on to Stella Falcon, who gave it a half
It's
star.
the worst movie.
Literally worst movie I've ever seen. But Lacey Chabert is in it, so it gets to have a star.
That's the wrong movie.
Oh, God. They did it for the wrong one, for sure.
Oh, my God. What a dumbass.
All right, let's get out of that. Laura, there were more, though, by the way. Laura says, half star. If I saw this on Christmas Day, it would ruin my whole holidays.
If your holiday is teetering on being ruined and this 70s Canadian slasher tips it, your holiday was already bad.
Yeah.
You're
just waiting for an excuse.
Yeah.
To like just storm out of your Aunt Mabel's house. And
this one bothers me a little bit. It's from Bridget, who gives it a half star, but in all caps says, "You shut up. I'm so fucking scared right now. You shut up."
So she gave it a bad score for it being an effective horror film and scaring her.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand that. Like, if it does its job, it at least deserves some stars.
Yeah. Who's she telling to shut up?
That part I don't know. Billy, I guess.
Probably the plethora of people that have said it's the worst movie ever.
Loritz W gave it a half star and said, average pro-lifer.
That's actually pretty good. Fucking Peter.
Maddie Does Art gave it a half star and says, everyone in this movie was fucking annoying, but the Lieutenant, Claire, Miss Mac, and Phil. I mean, that's half the cast.
I know, that's a lot of the cast.
The Chaos Agent, 78, gave it a half star from, oh wow, this is from a few days ago, and says, the remakes were way better. It takes at least maybe 10 to 15 minutes to actually build the plot. The only things I liked were the inside of the sorority house and Chris's hair. One of the characters looked like a younger version of the grandma from Everybody Loves Raymond, and Jess looked like Michelle Trachtenberg's character, Melissa, from the 2006 movie. I turned it off at the halfway point when I realized this movie wasn't getting better.
Oh my God. She said Olivia Hussey looks like Michelle Trachtenberg?
Jess looked like Michelle Trachtenberg's character. Yeah,
that person needs to get their eyes checked, I believe.
Yeah, there's nobody in, spoiler alert, there's nobody in the remake that is the characters from this movie. Like, it's just
they have different names other than Mrs. Mac and Billy.
Yeah,
and Agnes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Billy. Yeah.
But as far as like the girls, they all have different names, I believe, than they do in this one.
Yeah. Business person gave it a half star and says short take, and then gives the poop emoji and the skull and crossbones emoji.
Okay.
Long take Very, very outdated. Not scary or unsettling in the slightest and undeserving of its cult status. If this is in your top slashers, then you must have awful, all caps, taste or strong nostalgia, laughing face emoji. Goofy ass acting, annoying ass characters, and a twist you see coming from a mile away make this movie's 90 minutes feel like Oppenheimer. That's what they said.
What twist are these people talking about?
I don't know.
There is no twist ending in this.
It's making me question, it's like, did I miss something?
Are they saying the twist is that Peter is not the killer? Is that what they?
That's the only thing I could think of that's even like remotely related to a twist.
Is that what people are considering a twist? That the red herring is a red herring? That's not a twist. That's just writing. Like that's just a plot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like that she kills him at the end or something,
or
and it's not really him that's the killer.
Like we know it's
like Billy's
not him.
alive.
These people who say it's a twist, I don't think we're paying attention the whole movie. Is what it is.
Yeah, I think so. Theo gave it 2 stars and said, "I thought this was going to be a cautionary tale about black ice."
Stupid, dumb.
Wade's World 45 gave it a 0.5 star. My daughter got me to watch this Christmas movie about a third of the way through. I wanted Billy to kill me. First of all, just because the movie takes place in December doesn't make it a Christmas movie. Also, when you use Christmas carolers to drown out the sound of someone getting stabbed and screaming, that revokes your holiday movie status as far as I'm concerned. By the way, what sorority house has a crane hook on a chain and a pulley in the attic? One thing I have never understood about these movies with killers calling people and telling them what they are going to do to them. Why do you keep listening? Hang up the phone. When he calls back, here is an idea. Don't answer. Part of his plan is to scare you. Just hang up and don't listen. Maybe he will get frustrated and move on. You have taken the fun out of it for him. One last thing. After the first killing, the police show up at the house. Peter is angry and leaving in a hurry from a house where a girl has been murdered, and the police just move out of the way and let him by. No questions. No who are you? Nothing. I'm sorry. I can't go on. Watching the movie took time from my life. I will never get back. I can't let it take any more of my time. I need to go watch The Grinch to get some Christmas spirit back. What's the fastest way to Whoville from here?
Oh my God. This is the fucking guy who
I was going to say, this is the most fun guy at the party.
Right. That's the guy that you get into an argument about whether or not Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Because, what a nerd.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Also, like if you hang up the phone, the guy's still in the attic. Like, you know, he's
maybe he's not going to play with you anymore. Like he's just going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, he's just going to murder you.
And also, Peter leaves the house. Nobody knows anybody's dead till the end. Or like close to the end. You know?
They just know people are missing.
Yeah. This is 1 star from, it's literally the brain emoji. I'll never forget that this specific movie was the one that made me fail one of my most important tests last year.
Pregnancy test?
What does failing a pregnancy test entail? Like a positive or a negative?
It's when you just pee on your hand. You got nothing on the stick.
I did that earlier today. It was an accident. But
why were you taking a pregnancy test, Justin?
No, I just peed on my hand.
Oh, for fun?
Yeah, it just got in the way.
Yeah. I love that you blame it on it. Like, stupid fucking hand. It's always like wandering in front of my wiener. Anytime it comes out, it's just on it automatically.
Just slap it. Get there. Stop
it. Sibs Peachy gave it a 0.5 star and said, "Didn't watch it. Was busy crushing that Dutch bussy."
How many stars did they give it?
0.5 star.
Was a 0.5 star for the movie or the bussy?
I don't know.
I think they're taking it out on the movie.
B. Rye gave it a star. Y'all are glazing this movie too hard.
Hey.
Masad gave it a 0.5 star. Masad? A 0.5 star. Just because it's something new doesn't mean it's something good.
New?
Yeah, maybe that Yeah, maybe they watched the wrong one too. I don't know. All right. Harlequin Movies gave it a half star. It says, what really killed it for me, no pun intended, was the implication of Jess dying at the end. Like, from a writing and production standpoint, it's fine. It's got some solid directing, camera work, etc. But, dude, the sorority girls being portrayed as morally corrupt, or at least the sorority itself being a place of moral corruption, feels misogynistic. And to some extent, like, you could argue that the dad seeing it as morally corrupt is like just one character and the movie makes fun of him. But honestly, I feel like the movie genuinely doesn't treat his perspective as ridiculous, especially because, like, his daughter is dead. So his concern of her being there is ultimately validated. And why do I feel like Jess eventually dying was like her punishment for wanting an abortion? At least with how it's all framed and set up. It's also unnecessarily gross, consistently, in a way that made me uncomfortable. Checked out information about the novelization, and it's somehow worse. Listen, I personally think the slasher genre as a whole is often written off as misogynistic, sadistic exploration and indulgence in women's suffering in a way that is totally unfair. But in this case, with this movie, I think that criticism is more than a fair one to make. Anyway, if you got this far, thanks for reading this behemoth of a review. Sorry for the ramble.
Calling this movie of all horror movies misogynistic is absolutely unhinged to me. Like, that is...
I think that's why I put that one in there, because this is really non-misogynistic.
Yeah, I would say it's feminist, if anything. Like, this is a very, like, this treats these women like actual people, not just like stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's saying that it's like disrespectful or whatever because they're portrayed as like morally corrupt. They're not. They drink. They're fucking college students. Yeah, they're gonna get drunk sometimes. Like, it's treating them like actual college students and not like, phony 50s, surfer movie, fake teenagers. Like, that's what an unhinged, weird review.
That one offended you. I like that.
I don't like that one. That one made me mad.
Yeah. Well, it's just the dumb idea of just like talking about the sorority. Have you been to a sorority? Like,
yeah.
Like, it's not a church, dude.
And the movie's not judging them at all. The movie's very non-judgmental, and the movie does sort of make fun of the dad for thinking that. Like, it's a source of comedy. Like when Mrs. Mack is like trying to hide the peace symbol, poster stuff. It's very funny, but it's because this guy's a prude, and the movie's saying this guy's a prude, and we know that, that's the joke.
Right.
I mean, we should talk more about that, I guess, in the regular episode. I'll read this one, and this will make you feel better. JRP said half star. This movie sucked. No sister daughters, no yellow guy, boring kills, no yellow guy, no yellow guy. Who the fuck is Billy?
They're mad that this movie didn't have a yellow jaundiced killer in it.
Yep.
It's from the remake, Todd.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, are we talking about...
It shows Billy in the remake, yeah.
Billy in the remake has a backstory that includes him being jaundiced and like very yellow. He looks like the yellow bastard from Sin City.
Oh, wow.
Or a character from The Simpsons.
I'm not going to be able to unsee that when I watch the remake now. All right. And we'll do this one because it seems like Danny with an I. Danny here gave it a half star a couple of months ago and said, I hate 99% of the slasher genre, but oomphs like this one, I don't know. Maybe she meant you motherfuckers or something. I don't know. Anyway, like this one, so I gave it a shot. Boring, overhyped dog shit. How did no one in the house hear a man screaming from like 2 floors up? Jess was supposed to be the alternative to the virgin and whore archetypes of women in horror by being smart and independent, but she stopped making good choices at the end of the film when all her characterization was thrown away and she was reduced to the hysterical, screaming final girl. Why did her stupid ass not just leave the house when she found out the killer was in there? Why did the stupid-ass cops not search the attic or stay with her overnight? Why is everyone in horror movies an irritating dumbass with no sense of danger or urgency? I guess if you analyze it and coped really hard, you could say there's some semblance of a commentary on misogyny in here, but it's not done well given how every female character is ultimately treated. Margot Kidder was the only good part of it. Olivia Hussey did good too with what she was given, I guess. I had my flu and COVID vaccines today, so maybe I'm not in a good mood. I hate this movie solely for popularizing the slasher genre because now we have vile misogynistic bullshit like the Terrifier franchise.
Wow. There's so much weird stuff going on in that review because she's blaming the movie, she's judging the movie for treating the character like a trope that had not been established yet. Or like that's very strange. And also, I mean, some of her like logic issues, like Jess not leaving the house when the police call, they literally write that reason into the movie. Like the police are telling her, because the dumbass that didn't understand the fellatio joke who calls her fucks up, and he tells her that the guy's in the house and he's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to tell her to just leave the house. Once he fucks up and tells her that, she's like, I got to go check on my friends. So the reason she's not leaving the house is because she's more concerned for the lives of her friends than she is about her own safety.
Man.
And the movie literally gives us that information. So,
which all makes her, it all doubles down on her not being this trope, not being this stupid girl. Like, she's a brave girl.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the wisest decision in that moment, but it's not for a reason of her just being a ditz. It's because she cares
about her friends.
Like you said.
Yeah, exactly. So weird review. That's all of them, Gary?
Yeah, that'll be it.
That's everybody.
That's everybody that needs an app.
Bum.
Well, as the years went on, Black Christmas quietly built a reputation, especially among younger filmmakers who were paying attention to what Clark had really pulled off with this film. The way that he built dread without relying on gore. The way the film suggested violence instead of wallowing in it. The way the whole thing felt like you were trapped in a house you couldn't get out of, even when nothing was really happening. And one of those filmmakers who took notice was a young man named John Carpenter. So at some point after this film's release, Carpenter and Clark actually talked about the possibility of a sequel. Clark later said that his idea would have taken place the following autumn at the start of a new school year on the same college, and he would have called it Halloween. Now, I will say, Clark has, in interviews where he talks about this, he's always made it clear that this was just two filmmakers spitballing. There was no script, no deal, no official anything. Like, this is not something that they were actively talking about make happen. It was just sort of like, this is the idea that I had. Carpenter's Halloween evolved separately. Like, it's sort of honestly like a weird coincidence here, because Halloween, as I'm sure most people listening to this probably know, started as a script called The Babysitter Murders, and the holiday setting actually came from producers Irwin Yablans and Mustafa Akkad. They were the ones who said, hey, why don't we set this at Halloween? So it didn't start as a Halloween movie. So it wasn't like John Carpenter ripping off Bob Clark, but the story kind of stuck around anyway, because whether or not it inspired anything directly, it just feels right. It feels like the passing of a torch between two films that share a certain DNA. And at the very least, it's one of those great little horror movie folklore footnotes that just refuses to die. It's a fun antidote,
I kept looking for that too, and I don't know if it's like Bob Clark's being very gracious about it. I guess he could just try to take some credit if he wanted to, but he's always like very clear to say that, just like you said, every single time. Like he's like, no, he had his own script, he had everything. Like, he just, we just talked about Halloween that one time.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no doubt that Halloween took inspiration from this.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I did want to mention too, is I had read that supposedly, and I was trying to find more backup on this, but that Carpenter had Tommy Lee Wallace and God, I forget the other guy's name, who's the editor on Halloween, watch Black Christmas and study stuff that Cole had done in this movie.
I mean, you can't really talk about Black Christmas without talking about where it sits in slasher history, and especially in its relationship with Halloween. I mean, when you ask that question, like, what was the first slasher movie? This is like a debate that horror nerds have had for decades. Like, what was the first slasher movie? It sounds simple because it feels like you should be able to trace the lineage a little bit, but I guess the answer really depends entirely on where you choose to start that story, the story of the slasher movie. Because if you want to trace the roots, you can go back to Psycho or even Peeping Tom, movie we've referenced on the show before. Personally, I think Peeping Tom feels closer to the modern slasher. Like it's got like a little bit of that killer POV, although done very differently, obviously, than this. The fixation on the act of killing, but nobody cared about Peeping Tom when it came out, so it only became influential like long after the fact. Psycho, on the other hand, is sort of like the big bang of modern horror films. Like modern horror erupts out of that one movie. It changed what horror movies were forever. But in terms of like what we now think of when we think of slasher movies, I don't think Psycho really fits that mold. There's no like stalking. There's none of the things that you think of as a slasher movie. You could also go, I mean, if you want to, you can go to Europe. You've got the Giallo movies that are coming out of Italy in the 60s and 70s, right? Those movies are a big piece of the puzzle. You've got the black glove killers, the blades, you get a lot of killer POV in those movies. You get stylized violence like you'll see and gore that you'll see in later slasher movies. And I think Gialli are absolutely part of the lineage, but I think a big distinction there is that they are usually structured as mysteries first and slashers second. So they're usually more about the investigation, not the actual like horror aspect of it. They're more like detective stories with some horror mixed in, which I think puts them like a little, they're related, but they're like a little bit off on this other branch on the family tree to me. So if you're asking, like, what's the first movie that actually feels like a slasher movie as we understand it now? For me, that's Black Christmas.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment, honestly. You're absolutely right, especially when, looking at Psycho. Yeah, Psycho probably kicked in the door, but Black Christmas was the first to walk through it. You know, we've noted all the tropes, like sit down and watch. You remember the first time you saw Shaun of the Dead? As a horror fan, you're just like, oh, that's a reference to today. Oh, and and that's from this and that's from that. Yeah. Watching Black Christmas is almost the same,
but it's backwards because it started here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not like, referencing other things.
It's that's going to be used again later on down in this thing that's very famous, and and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think that's fair to say. Like the slasher that we know it can very easily be attributed to Black Christmas. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think when I was thinking about this question or knowing that this was going to come up at some point because it's the debate, and I think if you wanted to, technically, no, it's not the first slasher, but people are going to say, like you said, Psycho or like Bay of Blood or something, Peeping Tom, whatever. But they invented like, I don't know, kind of like murder set pieces or something. Like this is like Black Christmas is patient zero for what we know is a slasher movie now.
Right.
And so that's the main thing I would say. Like you got things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre that comes out the same year, but that one is, I always thought of that as more like some kind of backwoods survival movie almost, like.
Yeah, I've never really considered Texas Chainsaw a slasher movie. It's definitely like, I mean, you've got the masked killer, I guess is the closest thing, and you do have that chase through the woods at the end, so it's got bits of slasher in it, but it's got a different feel to it.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel quite the same way. Like all of the stuff about this movie, like Bob, the sorority house setting feels like a thing. The unknown killer POV, the final girl, setting it at a holiday. These were all maybe separate things in like some other movies at some point, but Bob Clark's like the one who like stuck them in the blender.
Right.
And so it becomes the blueprint for Halloween, Friday the 13th, and the Scream and everything. I mean, you can't say without, I was about to say like without Billy, there is no Michael Myers, which is not technically true for what we're talking about. But
well, but I mean, you're not entirely wrong though. Like because even though I consider like this to be the first like true slasher movie where all of those things come together, Black Christmas didn't create the slasher boom of the 80s. Like that was Halloween, undoubtedly. Black
Right.
Christmas laid a lot of groundwork, but it didn't make enough noise in the US to really start a trend. Halloween is the one that blew the doors open and made every producer in Hollywood go, hey, can I get one of those? You know?
Right.
But I don't think Halloween looks the way it does without Black Christmas coming along first, because like we said, Carpenter saw this movie. He took the POV shots that Bob Clark was doing and he polished them up with a Steadicam. He took the idea of the unexplained killer, the killer who doesn't really have any real motivation, any logical motivation, because in the first Halloween, Michael Myers was just pure evil. He didn't have any real motivation. He leans into the atmosphere and the suspense over gore, because what people seem to forget is that Halloween is not a gory movie at all.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this is a stuff that a lot of Halloween's imitators quickly abandoned in favor of blood and shock value. But Carpenter was doing what Bob Clark was doing. He was going for atmosphere. He's going for scary over gory.
Yeah. And let's not forget, you add in that technical aspect. Justin, you mentioned that of the use of the Steadicam. And you also get our favorite Dean Cundy.
Yeah.
And his fantastic work. I swear it's worth the price of admission for when Michael just hit that image just fades in
my favorite,
out of the darkness.
One of my favorite shots in movie history.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only super scary, but what a technical achievement. Yeah.
Not to change the subject too much, but did you know who else were super fans of this movie? I thought were interesting. Steve Martin.
Okay.
A huge fan. He worked with Olivia Hussey later on Roxanne.
Yeah.
And she said he came up to her and was like, I've seen Black Christmas 27 times.
I know Elvis was also a big
I was going to say that was my next one is Elvis.
Wow.
Elvis Presley. It said he would rent out a theater and watch movies all night. He was kind of like an insomniac, but Black Christmas became, like they said, according to like his crew, the Memphis Mafia or whatever, this became a tradition at Graceland. You'd watch Black Christmas on Christmas like every year.
Yeah, to the point where I think even after he died, his family still continued to watch Black Christmas every Christmas.
Wow.
Like Lisa Marie and like they're all watching. Like maybe they still do. I don't know. Priscilla, maybe Priscilla
he had
puts it up every year.
It said he went out of his way to buy his own private print of the movie, which I know it doesn't sound weird. It doesn't sound cool to some people, but like in 1970s, you don't just have a copy of the movie really.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this movie is hugely influential. I think another point of comparison between this and Halloween, I think, is that they're both, and this is unlike a lot of slasher movies that would follow, is that they are grounded in characters who feel like actual people. We've said that multiple times over this episode. The sorority sisters behave like real college students. They drink, they swear, they tease each other, they fight, they bicker, and they look out for each other. There's this sort of lived-in sense of community there, and it makes the violence hit a lot harder than it does in a lot of these sort of assembly line slashers that came later, where half the cast barely qualifies as characters. It's like, you've got just like guy who trips over log. These are like real people. And Jess in particular is she's fascinating. She's sort of the blueprint for like Laurie Strode, I think, in that sort of innocence that she has. But while she looks like the template for the final girl the genre would eventually codify, she also subverts that trope before it even exists, because the movie tells us early on that she's pregnant. So she's not this virginal like final girl. She's pregnant. It's a major plot point in the movie, and she's already decided that she's going to have an abortion, and that immediately gives her a level of agency and complexity that wasn't typical for horror heroines at the time, and certainly not later on. And it also sets Peter up as the film's main red herring, like perfectly sets him up, gives him motivation and everything.
Yeah.
So, Black Christmas, no, it is not the first slasher movie. Like you said, Gary, like it is not technically the first slasher movie in the literal sense, but it's the movie where the modern slasher shape suddenly became clear. Like these are where the rules are established. Kind of like, technically like Night of the Living Dead is not technically the first zombie movie, but it's the first zombie movie in the way that we think of zombie movies. So this is like the first slasher movie in the way that we think of slasher movies now.
What's so weird is that it's still, we talked about it earlier being timeless, and you're talking about this, that it's like what made slasher movies, but you used the term earlier, like it's subverting the things you're expecting from a slasher movie. And it's so funny because like we're saying it created all those tropes, but it is also not doing those tropes.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning the thing about like Jess. I mean, that was one of the big things that stood out to me this time. Is like, well, all of the girls is it's not unlike every other slasher movie or a lot of slasher movies that come after. It's not trying to like, none of these girls are being like punished. All of the things that Scream makes fun of, the things you think about with like 80 slashers are like puritanical. Like if you have sex, then you die, or you do drugs, then you die. And Jason's like a cop with a machete. Like he's just coming around to take out all the bad kids. And Black Christmas doesn't give a shit about any of that. These women drink and smoke, swear, they have sex, and it never judges them for it, which is why like in our Somebody Needs a Nap section, we talked about people calling it misogynistic, and it's just like, where like
that's
it
so off
doesn't
base.
Yeah, it doesn't judge these women ever. It just treats them like real human girls in a sorority. And they're not just people set up for a meat grinder. And part of what makes it awesome and still feel modern or timeless is because I also think that decision that Bob Clark made with like, it's random. Like Billy isn't killing these girls because they sinned or something. It's because he's insane.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. The dialogue also, it sounds like how people talk.
Yeah.
It's overlapping. It's like messy, vulgar. It feels like you're just dropped into a sorority for real. And like you're just watching this.
Well, and I think the reason that this movie, even though it was one of the first, feels more modern and relevant than so many of the slashers that followed it is largely because of its treatment of its characters. And I love 80s slasher movies. Like I love the bad ones. I mean, I probably especially love the bad ones. Like they're fun, they're dumb, they're silly and loud and bloody, and that stuff is really fun, but they're usually built around characters who, barely rise above, like girl who shows her boobs, guy who drinks beer. Like, like they're not real characters. They're archetypes. But Black Christmas feels different because it feels like it's actually invested in the people living in that house. Jess and Barb and Phil and Claire, like they're not just stock types. Like Clark gives them personality and relationships and an actual like emotional ecosystem to where they feel like real people. Their dynamics matter. The way they talk to each other matters. You understand which girls are close, which ones are irritated with each other, like who is worried about Barb's drinking. They feel like real people. That's the kind of character work that just disappears in most later slashers when the genre just traded that for body count. But the thing that you have to, another large talking point that people talk about with this movie, especially when you talk about how it feels modern, that the thing about it that still feels genuinely radical 50 years later is how the movie handles Jess's pregnancy. I mean, for a 1974 horror film, it is shockingly non-judgmental. It's not that it doesn't judge her, but like that it doesn't judge her for this in 1974 and is unabashedly non-judgmental about it. Is almost revolutionary. Like Jess declares what she wants to do, that she wants to have an abortion, and the movie doesn't punish her for that or frame her choice as some sort of moral failing. It's just something she's decided is best for her. Peter's the one who tries to control her body and her future, and the film goes out of its way to show him as an asshole. Like he's possessive and manipulative and dangerous. Like the movie is saying, like, this guy is like, he's not the bad guy, but he's a bad guy.
Yeah. To be honest, that was really when she came out with that she was going to have an abortion. I was genuinely surprised. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, and dude, this is like a year after Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This in America. And the movie is technically set in America. They go out of their way to put American flags on the police desks, even though it's clearly set in Canada. It's supposed to be set in upstate New York, but it's like a year after Roe v. Wade. It's like a few years after Canada legalized their own version of like legal abortion, which is where you had to have like, I forget what they called it, but you had to get like a signed statement from a doctor saying that your life or your health was in danger. And it was legal if the doctor could prove that your health or the baby's health was in danger, kind of thing. This is a few years after that. So it was still like a sort of taboo thing. But Clark has always said he wasn't really trying to make a political statement with this. But whether he meant to or not, like Black Christmas lands with a pretty clear moral stance. Jess is a character with agency. She's the one that we're aligned with. She is the one that the movie is telling us is like the protagonist.
Yeah.
And Peter, who in a more conservative story would have been the nice guy, voice of reason, he's treated as the real threat here.
Yeah.
So the movie is taking a stand, whether Bob Clark says that he meant to or not. Again, Gary pointed out earlier, his movie prior to this took a pretty distinct stance on Vietnam, so he's not apolitical as a director.
Yeah, I think he's saying that, but I don't know if I believe him because it also just has these like I'll actually like in the remakes, like the latest one, for instance. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there, but like I feel like it's a lot on the nose. And this movie, I like this, that it's like I think this one makes better statements about a lot of things, and not that it's like a girl power movie, but it's feminist.
Right.
And it's like, cause all around them, this is again, the thing I didn't get with the misogyny is like, it's brutally honest about male incompetence and male aggression.
Every man in this movie is useless.
Like the cops are basically
like John
buffoons most of the
Saxon.
time.
John Saxon is the most capable of the men in the movie, but even he doesn't prevent really any deaths from happening.
No, he doesn't have control over the situation.
By the time he figures out what's going on, it's too late.
They're not able to help these girls, even the ones that are decent and trying.
Yeah.
And then her boyfriend's this whiny narcissist who cares more about his own ego than her. And then you have Billy, who's I guess the ultimate toxic male.
Yeah.
But and the central conflict, I mean, isn't just don't get murdered. I'd say that abortion angle is a huge part of the story too, like what's going on with Peter. So it's like your bodily autonomy is like part of this whole thing. I mean, I think that scene with Peter smashing the piano's as scary as some of the murder scenes. And it's so I feel like the movie is drawing a direct line between Peter trying to control her life and the fucking Billy trying to end it. Yeah. So it's just
I mean, to your point, Gary, I feel like that's where the metaphor can be drawn of the call is coming from inside the house. What does that really mean? Especially when we're looking at the lives of these women, the danger is closer than you realize. And that's the message. I think that's kind of how it is presented. There's psycho killers out there. And sometimes you marry them. Sometimes they're family members. Sometimes they're your best friend and their drinking problem. Like it's the danger is closer than you realize. I think that's, if you can encapsulate it, I think it would probably be in that.
Well, since we're bringing that up, I mean, let's talk a little bit about like the movie's treatment of Billy, like who is Billy? Because the movie it spends a lot of time nudging us towards Peter, even though logistically he can't be the killer. We know that, but I mean, and yes, Peter is dangerous. That is proven by the film, but the ending doesn't leave any doubt. Like Billy's still alive, still in the attic, and still the real threat. But what's fascinating about Billy is how little we actually know about him. Like we never see his face. We never get a reveal or a flashback or even a real theory about who he is. Nobody has a clue about this guy. All we know are those disturbing overlapping voices, and we hear him talk about the name Agnes, and we don't have any context for that. It's just like it's like he's stuck in this memory that he can't let go of. But the movie never tells us who Agnes is. what she represents. Like, Billy is a big old question mark in this movie. We don't know anything about him. At least in Halloween, where Michael Myers was, we didn't know his motivation. This is before the whole Laurie is his sister thing. Like in the first one, he's just a mindless killer. We at least get that opening scene to see his origin story, but like with Billy, there's nothing. He's just a blank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the hot take. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
And yeah, and I think in the remake they'll try to explain all of this, and
I would say they over explain all of this.
and I find the remake fun. I also own it, and I like watching it, but it is one of the slasher movies we've been talking about.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
everything that we're talking about this movie does so well, the remake, it encompasses all of those tropes. I mean, we'll talk about it later because we'll get to that. We've got a fun plan for that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is all the characters like are dumbasses and like it over explains things. But like,
and this Billy is a void.
He's a shape.
Yeah, it's no face, no motive.
Yeah,
just a voice, and it's craziness. And we joked about X earlier too. Like he's the internet comment section come to life.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just incoherent,
just posting anonymously from the attic.
Yeah, just angry and obscene. And Bob Clark understood that was, I feel like, enough. And you don't need to know where he's from or what he's doing or why he's doing it exactly. It's just terrifying because he could be anybody. Mm-hmm. He's just chaos. And you said this about Myers, the shape or whatever, or what we kept calling Michael Myers. This is the boogeyman in the purest form. That's just what he is.
Just pure evil.
Yeah.
Personified, just like Michael Myers would become. And I think that was like intentional. I mean, I know it was intentional on Clark's version or on Clark's part because early drafts of the script did try to explain Billy more. He had a backstory written out. Clark, in some interviews I found a really great interview with him from an old Fangoria. He summarized the abandoned backstory about Billy, saying that Billy was a disturbed child who was jealous of his baby sister, and he confirmed that the baby sister was Agnes, and that created this schism between him and women. Like that was the backstory. So in that version, Billy really does represent misogyny, which tracks with where his violence is directed. He's the kind of person who fixates his rage on women because he can't process anything in a healthy way. But Clark ultimately decided to remove all of that backstory, and I think the movie is stronger for it because Billy, as he exists in the final film, he's not a case study. He's not a profile. He isn't even a character in the traditional sense. He's just an intrusion. Yeah. He's a presence. He's a violent, unknowable force just sitting out of frame. And I think that mystery, not knowing, is what makes him terrifying. And I think it's what makes Black Christmas linger and why 50 years later we're still talking about it. Because Billy isn't scary because of what we know about him. He's scary because of everything we don't know about him.
Well, see, now I don't want to tell you what I thought, who I think Billy is, because that's way better.
Okay, well, now you've mentioned it.
You can't just say that. Yeah. You can't just not say it now.
Okay, this is a very loose, wild stab in the dark theory. I think Billy's related to Mrs. Mack because the girls are going to come and go.
Yeah,
but
I
Billy
have heard
stays.
theories that Mrs. Mack is Agnes.
Yeah. Yes, I was going to say it's either because I didn't know any of that of the background that got tossed out, but yeah, I was like, Miss Mack is either a sister, a mother, something. But yeah, I think I kept thinking, it's played for comedic value when she's got her hand on the door of, trying to cover the poster. I think that it's a closet, right? I think that closet has access to the attic. And I think she was like, nah, don't go in there. Like, because Billy will get you. I don't know. It's, again, wild.
The only problem with that
I
is
don't know.
He gets her. So
yeah, he does get her.
Yeah.
Because she's the one who pokes her head up through the attic, right? Like,
yes.
So if she knew he was up there, she's a dumbass.
Well, he's also
But-
using her phone to call, right? Because she's got her own separate phone line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually just finished the New South Comedy Festival, and there was some improv workshops, and there's this element of improv called Today is the Day. So maybe in the story of Black Christmas, he's been living in the attic for a while, but maybe today, this Christmas is the one where stuff really goes off the rails. He ends up killing Agnes, Miss Mac, and all of this goes down. So I don't know, but that's a theory.
Yeah. It's not a bad theory, but yeah, I mean, it's, people have been theorizing about it for years, which is kind of also part of the fun, the mystery.
Yeah, fun.
Like David Lynch loves a mystery, so you're leaning into that, Todd.
You learned something.
There you go.
Well, over time, Black Christmas found its audience, the audience that it never had in 1974. Horror fans started rediscovering it, not for gore or body counts, but for, like we've been talking about, the atmosphere, its eerie patience, its refusal to explain the monster hiding in the attic. That decision to leave Billy anonymous, unframed, and unresolved ended up being the thing that made the film so much more unsettling than most of the slasher movies that followed. And when every other franchise was busy inventing tragic backstories and elaborate mythologies, Black Christmas stayed scary by staying silent. And I think that's why it has become so influential.
Yeah, influential and for some reason impossible to redo.
Yeah, right.
They can't replicate what he did.
Not quite. Although there have been plenty of people who have tried.
Yeah.
Now, before we kind of wrap this thing up, I want to talk about our further viewing picks, because you can go from that angle of like, these are movies that were inspired by Black Christmas. You could go with other holiday horror movies, because I have to look it up, but I have to think this is the first horror movie set on Christmas. It has to be. And which has become like a major thing. I think there's like 7 of them coming out this year. Like it's just a thing now, but this movie kind of started that. So there's a lot of directions you can go with your further viewing on this. So for this bonus segment for our Cinema Shock Plus subscribers, we're going to tell you our picks for what we would pair as a double feature with Black Christmas. So who wants to start? Or I can start. I don't care.
I'll go.
Okay.
I think I've got a decent one.
Please tell me it has Muppets.
Muppet Christmas Carol.
No, not quite. I was looking again, because this sets the stage for such a long storied history of horror films. I was like, okay, let's find a horror film that's sort of the other side of the coin. Let's find where not only is the killer known, but the killer is like really well personified, almost to a point where you side with the killer. But I like the idea of another movie that also, I feel like, started a new line of similar movies that we're all trying to, hey, let's make the next one of this. Not only sequels of what I'm talking about, but other franchises have tried to do similar things. So my pick is Saw. I feel like they kind of, it still has that first one still has that low budget vibe. Yeah, you get some well-known actors, but this, I feel like it really set the new tone for a new type of horror movie.
Well, like torture porn. I mean, I would say that Saw was the movie that sort of kicked that in, that sort of started that trend, even though I actually don't consider Saw torture porn, the first one.
Right. Yeah.
But the sequels definitely could be put in that. And I think that ironically, I think Eli Roth's Hostel was a big one.
Yeah.
That was like that's sort of like the Halloween to Saw's Black Christmas. Ironically, I think that the Black Christmas remake was sort of capitalizing on the torture porn train a little bit without being torture porn. I think
Okay.
there are some elements from that remake that I feel like they were trying to capture that same audience. So it's a fun
Also,
connection.
the puppet's name is Billy.
That's true.
Hey, God, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Wow. Got that weird voice. Maybe that's more inspired than we thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to show the
Yeah.
flip side to the coin.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Yeah, I was thinking of how pathetic Billy is, and but creepy. But I don't know, because I feel like Halloween's a choice, obviously, and then I don't know. I just felt like if you're gonna do double feature, I gotta stay. You're gonna be watching it around December,
Right.
and so you need something that goes with it to me. And so I think if you want to keep it going with Santa Claus and stuff, you would maybe get one that glues a beard to his face and spies on neighborhood kids, and then he is also a crazy person, but maybe in a more sad way. I am not going where I think you think I'm going. I'm going with Christmas Evil, and I like
Good
that
one.
one.
That's a good one.
And it's got the grime and the dread and stuff like that. It's a little colder than Black Christmas, even maybe, but the character is sadder than pathetic. I mean, he's still pathetic, but he's more sympathetic than like somebody like Billy is. Like it tries to make you feel bad for him a little bit, that the reason he snapped on Christmas. But also, it's Sean Waters' favorite Christmas movie. So if it gets the Pope of Filth recommendation,
That's true. That's true. Like I feel like Christmas Evil is like the slightly deranged American cousin of Black Christmas. I love Christmas Evil, and that's one of the ones I was considering for this, believe it or not, because it is like it gets lumped in. It came out in 1980, so it's a little like in the middle, like where that slasher boom was starting. So it gets lumped in with those, but it's not quite a slasher movie, even though it gets lumped in with slasher movies. It's a lot more character driven than I think people expect it to be. It's less about the kills, even though there are some fun kills in it. It's more about this lonely, mentally unraveling guy who gets obsessed with the true spirit of Christmas. Christmas Evil is one of my favorite Christmas horror movies. I think it's great. I love the ending is so fucking good. I really love that movie. So it's pretty like low budget and scrappy, you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of fits that. It's Christmas Evil is great. That's a very good recommendation if you want to do a 1-2 just mean-spirited Christmas double feature.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to leave that double feature feeling good about anything. But
well, mine's not going to make you feel much better. Because that's one of the ones I was thinking about, Christmas Evil. Great choice. But then I thought of another one that is, I've actually got two. Okay, I've got two. But my official pick, I will say, is one that is.
Yeah, give us the stocking stuffer, and then give us
the other one's kind of
present.
a little. The other one is no. I'm going to give you my official pick first.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'll give you, because this one is. It's not technically a Christmas movie, but it is set on Christmas Eve, so I think that sort of counts. So thematically, that works, and I think it thematically pairs pretty well with Black Christmas, because where Black Christmas deals with a woman, like we've discussed, insisting on her right to make decisions about her own pregnancy. From 2007, French film called Inside.
Oh, Jesus.
Takes that idea of bodily autonomy and pushes it to the absolute extreme. If you have not seen Inside, it is about a pregnant woman who is being hunted on Christmas Eve through her home by another woman who's determined to take her unborn child by force. It is brutal. There is nothing subtle about Inside. It is one of the most it's part of that French extremity era of movies from the 2000s. It is one of the most intense of those French extremity movies, I think.
It's really, really good, but I always think when I remember it being one of the bloodiest movies. And maybe it just does that to my brain or something, but it feels like it is so just brutal. Brutal's the word. You're right.
It's directed by Julian Murray and Alexander Bustillo. It stars Beatrice Dalle, who is a legendary French actress. She is incredible in the film. It's really, really good, but it's not don't if your wife's pregnant, don't don't show it to her. But it is like it's intense, but also the emotional stakes are real. Like the film treats its central metaphor with a real clarity, but it is very much a proceed with caution recommendation. Because
I'm shocked. Like I don't know. That caught me off guard that you recommended it, and
I think
don't
it's
know.
good. It was remade. There was an American remake, but I haven't seen it because I don't think anyone could possibly top that original one.
No, and it's harder to find. I feel like too. Like
The American one, or
no, the
original?
the original. Yeah,
I've got an old DVD from when Dimension was putting out those, like they were buying like European or foreign horror movies and putting them out on DVD, and I can't remember what the line was, but I've got it somewhere. But it's out on like 4K now. So you can find it from some boutique label in Europe, but you can get Diabolic or Orbit DVD or somebody like that. You can get a copy of it. But
well, I could have been lying because it acts like it's on Tubi right now. So it
Well,
used to be hard to find
yeah.
on streaming, but yeah, I don't know. And then if you want to feel better about life, watch What Dreams May Come, and you compare that with Martyrs.
honestly, great recommendation. If we ever do I don't hope we'd never do a What Dreams May Come episode, but if we ever do, anytime I can get a chance to tell somebody to watch Martyrs and not look up anything about it,
Yeah.
I love just traumatizing people.
Yeah.
My other one is like I said, not my official recommendation, but I just found this really interesting because I found a bit of trivia about it. So it is, I know you've seen this one, Gary. It's called Behind the Mask. The rise of Leslie Vernon. You guys
I
know
was gonna too.
I was gonna bring this movie up. Yeah.
Do you know this bit of trivia?
I do. Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry to yuck your yum, or if this was something you were going to bring up as a fun Gary fact, but
No, it's okay.
but yes. So Beneath the Mask is this mockumentary about a mask killer from like a slasher movie, but like a documentary crew is following him and documenting what he's doing. It's very meta, very knowing. It's really, really good, especially if you're into like slasher movies and you understand the tropes and things that they're commenting on.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that I recommended it is because I found an interview with the guy who wrote it, David Steve. I think that's how you say his name, Stieve. David Steve has confirmed that when he was writing it as if the character of Eugene, who is like Leslie Vernon's mentor. He's like this old school slasher guy who is giving Leslie Vernon, the new guy, showing him the ropes. Played by Scott Wilson, who people know from The Walking Dead. Was his name Herschel on The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
So in David Steve's mind, when he was writing this, Eugene was Billy aged. I've actually got a quote from him where he says, "I can confirm," this is a direct quote, "I can confirm that Eugene has always been Billy in my mind. Scott would be the right age for him, and it always fit for me that Eugene would have that old school nostalgia and slight professional jealousy that even though he was a pioneer in the business of fear, he never achieved the fame or notoriety of his successors, Michael, Jason, etc." So it was never explicitly written into the script, but like when he was writing it in his mind, he was writing Eugene as if he were Billy, but in his 60s or something. So you could see Behind the Mask as an unofficial follow-up to to Black Christmas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
I like that fact. I remember reading that back when it was out or somewhere, that there was like a rumor about, or maybe they even say something in the movie that hints at it or something.
Yeah.
Like there's somebody makes a reference to him like in Sorority Girls or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like a passing comment that you're like, oh, he could be Billy.
Talking about Billy. Yeah. So there we go. So that's it. That's my pick. I mean, Inside is my official pick, but I think if you want one that's less traumatizing, maybe Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon would be a good one for you. So that's it, guys. That's our further viewing. Let's wrap this up. So as new formats kind of came and went, cable, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, each wave brought another round of rediscovery for Black Christmas. What this movie that was once dismissed as a minor Canadian thriller gradually took on the status of a foundational text, a proto-slasher that arrived fully formed before the boom even had a name. And today, it's been 50 years. This year marks 50 years from its release in the US, at least. But now it's recognized as one of the most influential horror films of the 1970s. Its fingerprints are everywhere. The killer POV that we've talked about, like in Halloween and beyond. The calls coming from inside the house. The seasonal juxtaposition. The focus on atmosphere, fear over gore, and that cold, unresolved final beat. It helped really set the template that later films would refine, imitate, or outright lift. And like we've said, unlike so many early slashers, this one hasn't lost any of its power. If anything, I think its understatement makes it feel more modern than many of the copycats that followed. Its themes, dismissed fears, institutional indifference, the fragility of supposedly safe domestic spaces, these all feel as urgent now as they did 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And Black Christmas has proven durable enough to inspire 2 remakes. We've referenced them a few times during this episode. There was a 2006 version directed by Glenn Morgan and the 2019 reinterpretation directed by Sofia Takal. Each of those reflects the era that produced it. And as a special Christmas gift to our listeners, we are going to explore both of those in an upcoming bonus episode. This will not be like exclusive to Cinema Shock Plus. We're going to give it to everyone. So we're not going to get into the weeds on them too much here, but look, keep an eye on your feed. There will be a bonus episode where we're going to be talking about what we're calling the Black Christmas Extended Universe. So I think that their existence alone, the fact that it's been remade not once but twice, says a lot about how adaptable and lasting the original idea is. But the film's legacy doesn't end in remakes either. It has sparked a wave of fan creativity, most notably the recent fan films It's Me, Billy, and its sequel, which continue the story with a clear affection for the original. Like, these are direct sequels to it that were made by a fan. They're up on YouTube and Vimeo for free, and we're actually going to talk about those in that bonus episode too, because they're pretty fascinating examples of how deeply this movie resonates. 50 years later, half a century after its release, people are still wanting to make follow-up movies to it, not for monetary gain, just because they love the original one so much. So as we wrap up this big holiday episode, it is impossible not to talk about Black Christmas in the context of Bob Clark's career, because the guy didn't make just one classic Christmas movie. He made 2, and they couldn't be more different. After Black Christmas, Clark stepped away from horror and directed a crime drama called Breaking Point in 1976. Then in 1979, he teamed up with Christopher Plummer and James Mason for a movie called Murder by Decree, a stylish Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper thriller.
Nice.
Yeah. And then in 1981, he had his biggest break yet. He blew the doors off the box office with Porky's. Now, this movie, if you don't know Porky's, Porky's was everywhere for years. It remained actually the highest grossing Canadian film of all time for decades. He followed that up with Porky's 2, which was, let's say, less essential, but it exists. But Porky's is sort of like Black Christmas, like that sort of starting point for the teen gross out, the sex comedy.
Yeah, the sex comedy.
Yeah, like things like American Pie.
That's the double feature. Is you show somebody Black Christmas and look at all these feminist themes, and then you show them Porky's.
Yeah.
And nobody will believe that is the same guy.
Yeah, he contains multitudes, this Bob Clark. But what's wild, so he did Porky's, he did Porky's 2, these raunchy sex comedies that have not aged well.
Yeah.
And then a year later, 1983, Clark delivered A Christmas Story, a small, gentle, funny film that barely made a ripple on release. But over the years, it became a holiday institution thanks to cable. Since 1997, its 24-hour marathon has made Clark's name synonymous with Christmas in a completely different way from Black Christmas. This movie's become a tradition for people. It's a lot of people's favorite Christmas movie. It's a period piece set in the 50s. It's I think it started off on TNT and then moved to TBS, or I think they actually both do it now for 24 hours on Christmas Day. Both of those channels show nothing but A Christmas Story.
Yep.
And you'll go over to people's houses on Christmas and they just have it playing on a loop all day long. I wish I would like to do that with Black Christmas personally, because I don't actually like A Christmas Story very much. I don't. I never have. I've never.
I've never been a fan either.
never
I just
What?
didn't have any.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't think it's like terrible or anything. I just don't care that much about it. I'll sit and watch it.
The mom can get it.
Well, I mean that's Melinda Dillon. I mean,
Yeah,
Bob Clark's later career was, let's say, eclectic. He did TV movies. He did a lot of TV movies actually over the years. He did oddball projects like Baby Geniuses and its sequel, For Better or Worse. He produced the underrated 1991 slasher movie Popcorn, which I would definitely recommend that one.
That's a good one.
Popcorn's good. Yeah, he didn't. The guy who directed it was actually one of the actors from Porky's. And it was written by the guy who co-wrote Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things and Death Dream. So he was sort of like producing it as a favor to his friends and lending his name to it. Clark also produced the 2006 Black Christmas remake. And for a time, there were rumors that he might return to direct a sequel to the original film. There was a lot of discussion about this as, development was happening on the remake. Whether that was real or just hopeful speculation, we will never know, because tragically, Bob Clark and his son Ariel were killed by a drunk driver in a head-on collision in Los Angeles in April of 2007. He was only 67 years old, so it was well before his time.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a devastating loss, not just because he still had films left in him, because his career, as messy and adventurous and weird as it was, showed a filmmaker who just kind of followed his curiosity wherever it led, whether that was horror, gross out sex comedies, mysteries, holiday classics, talking karate dog movies starring John Voight. He did it all. Have you seen that? It's called Karate Dog is the name.
No. That's the double feature with Crippled Masters.
Yeah, Karate Dog was
Yep.
starring John Voight. John Voight was also in Baby Geniuses, so they just liked working together so much that they decided to follow it up with another classic.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I mean, undoubtedly, Black Christmas is one of his best, one of his most influential, and one of the strangest, coldest, and most unnerving Christmas gifts horror fans ever received. I think this is like the Christmas horror movie for me.
Yeah. It's there's a bunch of fun ones out there, but
lots of great ones. But I think this
Yeah.
is the one that I want to watch every year.
Yeah.
This is it.
I do watch this movie every year, and so it's just tradition. And
It gets better every time I watch it.
brother, there are times that if the lights are just right and I am watching this thing, it still creeps me out sometimes. And not a lot of movies do that anymore.
Not especially after you've seen them a bunch of times. There are not many that have that sort of power, but this one does. I love it. It's a great movie. And I think that's it, guys. I think that wraps up our Cinema Shock Christmas Spectacular. As we mentioned, we're going to be doing a bonus episode where we take a look at the two Black Christmas remakes, the infamous 2006 version, the even more divisive 2019 reimagining, and how each one kind of mirrors the era that made it. I think it's going to be a really fun discussion. I know me and Gary specifically had very different reactions to the 2019 one, and I haven't watched it since, so I'm curious to see where I land on it and where we both kind of land on it. But until then, keep your attic door closed. Maybe don't answer the phone, or check your caller ID. At least check if it says Billy, do not answer it. If it says Mrs. Mac, do not answer it. Be better off. Oh, and also, if you are not already a member of Cinema Shock Plus, this is a great time to jump in, because our members, we talk about all the cool stuff they get: extended episodes, early episodes, our Fire Shock with Me series, where we go through the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks, exclusive access to our members-only area of our Discord channel, merch discounts, even the raw video from our recording sessions if you're at the auteur level. So if you really want to see our ugly mugs, you can. We've got bonus episodes dropping all the time, including, we've got that follow-up with this bonus episode we're going to be doing on Black Christmas. We're going to release that to the feed. If I can get it edited in time, I'm going to try to release it a little bit early on Cinema Shock Plus. So if you want more of the show, more deep dives, more weird tangents, come hang out with us. cinemashock.net/plus. we would very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. And before we go, we've got one more piece of news. Todd, it's a big one. We got an announcement.
Yeah.
So this episode marks the end of an era here on Cinema Shock Plus, or on Cinema Shock. This is writer and comedian Todd A. Davis's final episode as a regular host of the show. It's sad.
Yeah.
Bittersweet. I mean, Todd's moving on to some new opportunities.
Yeah.
And also his 5-year contract with us has finally expired. We tried to re-sign him, but he insisted on a writer that included no more David Lynch, and we just couldn't meet those demands.
I think
that sounds like me. That sounds like me.
I think the universe met those demands.
He's like he's doing everything he could to try to get out of not watching Twin Peaks: The Return.
I'm it's one of those things where God, if I could just watch movies and talk about them with you guys all day, I absolutely would. Unfortunately, there are only 24 hours in a day. And as I mentioned earlier, I did New South Comedy Festival. I'm getting back out there to do some shows, to do some festivals. I'll be getting on the road to do more festivals and shows. As we were recording, I received an email about a callback for an audition.
Nice.
So, more on that as it develops.
Nice.
I'm looking into some voice work. Yeah, I've got some stuff on the horizon, and unfortunately, I spent my 20s waiting for the big thing to happen. I spent my 30s saying yes to everything, and now I'm in my 40s. I'm going, okay, I can't juggle this much.
I get it.
Yeah, so rest assured, dear listeners, there's no bad blood.
No.
It's and this is not a gone forever type scenario. It's just returning to Todd comes on occasionally.
Yeah. We and you're still doing Computer Resume.
Yes, still doing Computer Resume. In fact, just recorded another episode late last week,
which also takes a ton of time. I don't know how either of you guys were doing this podcast and another podcast at the same time, to be honest. But yes, we know you're going to pop up again as a guest somewhere down the line when you least expect it, like a jump scare.
You won't know until after Gary and Justin intro, and I'm writer comedian Todd A. Davis.
Can't keep you away for long. As soon as we talk about Crippled Masters, it's getting a Blu-ray release, an official first time ever Blu-ray release from Severin Films on Black Friday. Which by the time you guys are listening to this, it's already been available for order. So maybe, Todd, we'll revisit that one day as a little roulette and have you on.
Yes, please.
But we love you, Todd. We appreciate you. Thank you for more than 5 years of fun on the show.
Yeah.
Missed.
Yeah, thanks for all the fun conversations.
Yeah, I did episodes of Slice of Fried Gold.
Yeah, all the way from the beginning. Yeah.
Psychotronic. Yeah.
Thanks for
fun.
putting
Todd's
up with all the movies we threw at you, even the ones that scarred you personally.
I was going to say David Lynch took one more victim before he was gone for good. I'm sad about it, but
it's bittersweet, but we know you're doing what's best for you. And we'll still see you and talk to you regularly in real life, even though people won't get to listen to those conversations.
Right. I'll still pop up on the Discord, so feel free to shoot ideas in all my shoot holes in all of my theories. And
you about to say shoot ideas into all your holes?
Yeah, shoot ideas into all my holes, please. I need as many ideas in my holes as I can get.
You should just try transcendental meditation. I think that's a better way to capture those ideas than to have them shoved into your holes.
Oh, I've been shoving them in my holes all this time.
You should have been listening to David Lynch, man. All you got to do is sit there and fish.
That's right.
Thank you, Todd. Seriously, good luck with everything. And I mean, I'll talk to you probably tomorrow, but
Thanks, guys.
You notice we're not entirely sad because we just know we're still just going to talk to Todd.
So right. It's just not on the show. Yeah. But, this is our final episode of the year of 2025. But me and Gary are already working hard on season 3 of Fire Shock with me, where we'll be finally watching Twin Peaks: The Return. So Todd, you've missed out on that. So sorry about that. But keep an eye out on Cinema Shock Plus for updates on that. It's coming sooner than you think, but we're working on it. And then we'll be back in early 2026 with a huge new series that I'm very excited about. I think it's time to announce it, Gary.
Okay.
For our next series in 2026, we are boldly going where no one has gone before.
Don't do that to me, motherfucker. Don't do it.
That is exactly the reaction that I wanted for that.
He was so excited about, like, I'm going to do this joke.
What if we did, though?
My God.
Oh man, that would be good. One day, maybe one day. But we're actually not ready to announce our next big series, but we actually do have a pretty monumental series lined up for early 2026. We're just not quite ready to unveil it yet, so we got a little bit of work to do on it. But what we can say is that it ties in pretty nicely with today's episode. So take that as you will.
Nice.
Yeah. We're doing the Baby Geniuses movies.
Hell yeah. I say we throw in Karate Dog while we're at it.
Oh, why not? Well, that's all I got for this one, fellas.
That was a good one.
Merry
Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy holidays.
Christmas.
And happy New Year. Because by the time you hear us
happy
again,
everything. And merry everything else.
Merry and holly jolly everything.
Yeah.
Well, you guys want to let our listeners know where you can be found on the internet.
I am at This Is Gary Horn.
Wait, I'm next. Am I next or you next? You're next.
I'm next.
I forgot how this goes. I was already ready for Todd to not be on the show, I guess.
All right, we said our goodbyes. Get out of here. I am at Mr. Todd A. Davis. You can find all my stuff probably on Instagram, but I'm at Mr. Todd A. Davis on pretty much everything.
And I am at Justin_Bishop. The show, again, is at cinemashock.net. Find links to our Discord. And if you're on Cinema Shock Plus, that Discord includes the members-only area. Find links to our merch, all of our episodes, Fire Shock with me, all that stuff. Cinemashock.net. You can find links to if we're on the internet, it is linked somewhere on cinemashock.net. You can also find us at cinema_shock. And if you like the show, rate, review, share it with all your friends. Send them this episode as a fun little Christmas gift. If you guys just introduced your friend to Black Christmas for the first time, tell them this is how it got made. These guys are going to tell you everything you ever wanted to know on the last podcast you ever... Did we say that? Did we say the last podcast about Black Christmas? I don't think we did. I think I forgot to do that in this one. Oh, well.
Whoops.
Well, this was the last podcast you'll ever need about Black Christmas. That's it, guys. Until next time.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
And be excellent to each other.
Always listen to the people around you. They just might have the answer. Or, as I like to say, Johnny has the keys.